Okay, we're live. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this second audio commentary with myself and The Watcher. This is the first Doctor Who audio commentary that we're doing, and today we've chosen to do one of the most loathed episodes in the entire canon. Yes, you guessed it. It's the Twin Dilemma, which is the first fucking lorry driving past. This is the first ever story from the Sixth Doctor. Oh boy. I'm here today with The Watcher. This is a non-profit commentary. We're simply just, well, I say fans, we're simply just members of the public listening and watching to this. There will be no visuals in this video. It will just be our voices and probably the audio of the episodes. So if you wish to see the visuals alongside, feel free to pop in your DVD or go onto Dailymotion and watch that shit if you can muster the courage to. So yes, Jack, is there anything you'd like to say before we begin?
Just that you put in your DVD, put the timestamp to 0, and mute your audio, and prepare for the thrill ride that is the Twin Dilemma.
God. So, are we both ready?
Yep.
Just to say, we might get 2 audio feeds, so we do apologise, guys, but this is probably the only way that this can work, because me and Jack are on 2 different sides of the UK, so yeah, sorry about that.
Yep.
3, 2, 1, play.
I do really like the title sequence for this story. I mean, it's interesting to note that they changed the title sequence from the Tom Baker title sequence that you saw in season 18. I mean, I'm not a big fan of the purple color, but I really like this theme music, the update by Peter Hoyle. I think it's good.
I guess it kind of fits for the 80s. But then that first shot, whoa. Yeah. I mean, immediately you see this and you go, this doesn't feel right. This scene, just what the fuck?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, the production design is so bad here. It really is. It's so cheap.
Yeah, I mean, and considering after Case of Androzani, which was a really great story, I mean, you know, you did have that bat thing, though, in Case of Androzani, but I mean, at least that looked a hell of a lot better than this.
I mean, this all looks like they bought all of this from IKEA.
Yeah. And the twins here, they're just so bland. They are, you know, they are so incredibly bland. And you know, I mean, you know, the story is that they actually just got 2 twin actors, 2 random twin actors. I mean, I don't even think they were actors, to be honest with you. I think they just got 2 twins, 2 identical twins, so they can have in the story.
They kind of, you know, wiped them off the street, kind of like Colin Baker, really. Yeah,
and like this. I mean, and this actor here, the one with the spectacles, you know, he was in Genesis of the Daleks, one of the greatest, if not the best, Doctor Who story ever made, you know. And, you know, he stars in, some people say, the best story ever made, and then he goes to this shit, you know. and the plot was just so boring, like these twins are mathematicians.
Were they boring?
It's a whole universe.
Yeah.
What do you think? It's terrible.
Oh, never mind about it. No, so easily changed. What about me?
I meant you.
I meant you. That kind of sums up Colin Baker for me.
It's weird actually thinking of Peter Davison's costume.
I'm not people, Barry. I happen to be me.
But why?
But I think the reason why he's in Peter Davison's, well, I mean, we know the reason why he's in Peter Davison's costume. Like all the doctors. It's interesting though, because the only doctor who had different clothes when he regenerated was Patrick Troughton. Like, he regenerated along with his clothes, which was funny. And Tom Baker actually in Logopolis, his boots regenerate when he turns into Peter Davison.
No, brow.
It's just
Oh,
the
God.
his face is just ridiculous.
Here again.
Yeah.
It will be.
It's that shit that he's got on the side of his costume.
Face
Yeah.
beaming with a
Looks like a dinosaur shat on him.
Yeah, complaining about
Yeah.
extraordinary improvement.
I mean, basically, this is just too over the top. It feels like a piece of pantomime.
Yeah.
Feckless charm simply wasn't.
Yeah, and this is Davison there. He says, you know, oh, my last incarnation, feckless charm, wasn't me, you know.
Sweet. It beat. Sweet.
You know,
Sweet.
he's just so unlikable in this story.
It's been a timely change.
And it kind of sets the, you know, the standard for the rest of the series.
This I don't get as well. How he just kind of like, I know he's regenerated, but
This bit is so pantomimey when he's like hiding in the coat hanger. No time, no
Grinding
space.
engines of the universe.
grinding engines of the universe.
It's so over the top.
It's so sadistic as well, like with this weird laugh.
Yeah. Oh God, Neri and more of the twins.
Even the effects of they're just not,
Rubbish. And it's boring, you know. They're
it's not even on Pac-Man level.
yeah. And I know Doctor Who was a low-budget show, but even this is just pathetic.
I mean, by this point, they would have had quite a bigger budget, I would have thought, because the show had done really well.
Well, actually, it's interesting because the show at this point, after 1979, the ratings started to go down, but with Peter Davison, the ratings went back up, and they pretty much stayed consistent.
Yeah.
And they moved this story back to Saturday nights because with Peter Davison, all his seasons they showed twice weekly on Mondays and Tuesdays, and then Mondays and Fridays, Wednesdays and Fridays, you know, Thursdays and Fridays. But they brought this back to once weekly on a Saturday night, and
I think that was all the people could take.
yeah, that was a good move, I would say. But the only
That's
problem
still
is
the tradition today now that all Doctor Who is on a Saturday night.
yeah, and that was the tradition up till Peter Davison. They showed that once every Saturday night. But I mean, this stuff here is just so boring. I mean, so far there's been no dialogue. They've just been pressing a few keys on this circuit board, and it's just awful. And you know, they're just staring at each other, and then this guy appears. It's just stupid.
Oh, I wouldn't impose upon you for a moment. It's no more than a simple illusion.
Oh, we know that. We've seen it before in the theatre. You did it jolly well.
Thank you.
Oh God.
Your own talents have vastly superior.
Yeah, tough.
Oh,
Amazing,
God.
quite amazing.
It's just so
Symphony
awkward
of
as well. The dialogue and the
Just so
acting.
happened we've had a good evening.
It's very stilted.
Who are you?
I mean, you can tell this was like
Professor,
the birth of cheesy Doctor Who. Like, it was really
Yeah.
reason why you should.
getting silly.
I came to pay my respects.
Yeah, I mean, you had
to
a
your
few.
father, the
I mean,
professor,
up
Matt
till Peter Davison, you did have the odd Doctor Who episode that was
Yes,
camp and
I
stupid,
must
but
apologize.
this just brings it to a
Come
new
on,
level.
away.
How did you get in here?
How does one enter a dwelling?
Nobody's allowed in when I'm
They never explain. I mean, he just beams
Oh, come
there for
now.
some odd reason, and they're like, "Oh, what a fantastic trick!" You know.
Besides the point, you oughtn't to be here.
Oh, then I shall leave. When you expect your parents back?
You don't know.
Tell your father.
Oh,
So far, 7 minutes. Nothing has happened.
Goodbye. Please.
yeah.
It's been a privilege and pleasure.
It's just so boring.
There's no plot. There's
Goodbye,
no
Romulus.
plot
Our
there.
paths are bound to cross again.
The only thing I will say is that it is quite well
Show me
shot.
your hand.
I don't think so. The fairy liquid.
Now, what are your names?
I am Romulus, I am Remus.
What is this place?
We do not know.
Good. Excellent.
You know when he showed him his hands and it showed the rings? That was so obviously fairy liquid. I mean, when you're saying it's well shot, I don't think so. It's just very bland direction, very one note. And God, you know, his costume. Ugh.
I mean, Joseph in the Technicolor Dreamcoat, if ever there was one.
Yeah. On a stupid
Music.
hat badge. Ugh. I mean, some people say they like his costume and it's better than Eccleston's, but I'm sorry, I'd take Eccleston's costume any day to this shit.
Eccleston's Doctor is completely different though, because he's more of a
that is what
war-torn,
people said
rugged
about Beau Brummel.
Doctor.
Remember?
His is like campy schmampy, which is probably why they've gone for such a colourful costume. And he kept the question marks. Yuck.
Right, his time is up. I shall contact Nestor. Too late. He's got them. He's coming now. Lock them in the bunker. At once.
I'm back. Sorry about that. They opened the door for my brother.
That's all right.
Nestor,
Yes, Edward.
I have them on board.
Are they docile?
For the moment, yes. I gave them a selective amnesia.
When will they be
This
missed?
is just silly.
Very soon.
You have no time to lose. There will be
I mean, I
no
forgot to comment
reply.
on the scene before, but when Perry says yuck when she sees his costume, she's completely right. You know, he does look dreadful.
Yeah.
You will remain at the city house until further notice.
What's this meant to be?
As
Like
you
telepathic
command.
conversation?
Yeah, but it's just so badly done. Like, you will bring him to me. You know, it's so cheesy.
They do it much better in The Family of Blood, the David Tennant story. There's a nice cream van.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, the score's awful. And he's like, yuck, you know. Just
And
piss
so
off.
this scene is probably the
That's
biggest
what I
offence
did.
in all of Doctor Who.
Yeah,
This is just insulting.
yeah.
I would have taken you to the
Not only that, but like, what's sad about the first season with Perry and the Sixth Doctor is that she got on so well with Peter Davison's Doctor that it's just so annoying to have her with Colin Baker. You know, she looks depressed.
This scene, the dialogue makes no sense.
Perry at the
Yeah.
gate of Eden stood disconsolate.
Oh God.
Disconsolate.
I haven't the faintest idea.
Of course you don't.
Remember you did the sketch of it. I mean, he's doing this sort of like weird face. I mean, he looks like he's doing a rape face.
Perry.
I'll tell you. Perry is a good and beautiful fairy in Persian mythology. The interesting thing is, before it became good, it was evil.
Oh God.
That's what you are. Thoroughly evil.
God.
No, not even a fairy, an alien spy. And here to spy on me. Oh, the fate of alien spy.
But this scene is just so out of place for the Doctor. You know, it is. Oh God. And I'm like, you know, it's just.
But it snaps out of it, but I can't believe that they did that. I just can't believe it. So
I mean,
insulting.
the Doctor usually does have post-traumatic stress after regeneration, but this just took it to a new level. It's just awful.
And,
I
you
mean,
know,
the Doctor should never strangle his companion.
This is so best.
Especially
Security
Perry.
World War I, the Big 9. They're gone.
Yeah.
My children have been kidnapped. When did this happen?
my children have been
12
killed.
minutes in, and now we're getting to the plot now, and we're halfway through the episode.
Yes, I'm listening, Professor.
Yes, naturally you're anxious. Please leave this to us. I'll get the phone and call you back.
Wow.
Bye.
Who are these
And even
fucking people? Like the space police?
What is it?
Yeah, and even the sets here are awful.
The professor found a dust-like deposit on the floor of their room. He says it's Xanium.
I mean, it's better than the sets we saw before, but still, just got a really cheap quality to it.
We
This
didn't
is
see
something
it.
I've always feared. What's the time?
He says 2 hours next.
Right, they're still within range.
Did you say? Wait, did you say?
I'm ordering press priority, full-scale search. I want all pursuit crews launched. Briefing will take place in flight, and I want you as flight leader. I want a thorough scan.
What's also interesting about this is this story came at the end of the season. This is the first time they did it since Hartnell. Basically, Giz Vanderzani, instead of it being the last story of the season, they put this at the end just to test it out, and they made a really wrong move. You know, they should have saved his first story till next season.
It feels more like the opening to a series.
Don't exaggerate.
Don't exaggerate.
Exaggerate. You don't remember what you did.
Yeah. And, you know, it's a disgrace, you know.
I am a little hazy.
The only one who's trying is Nicola, Bryant, and Perry.
Don't be absurd.
Yeah.
I'm not.
What you say is impossible. I have an inbuilt resistance to any form of violence, except for self-defense.
You don't.
God, you feel so sorry for Perry.
On my word, you really. Oh, I don't know.
Fighting after death. And that's only because I'm not dead already.
Something's wrong.
Yeah, I mean, you know, something's wrong. You know, I mean, he's just so over the top in this and the rest of the series. I was saying to Ollie before we started this, you know,
Yeah.
the reason why Colin Baker was cast is because JNT thought he was funny at a garden party. You know, that's not a legitimate reason for casting the Doctor. You have to see his acting first. You know, he's like the George Lazenby of
Well,
Doctor Who.
he may have shown him his craggy knob.
Yeah.
In some
I mean, his costume is just vile. I mean, people, like I said, some people say they prefer this costume to Eccleston's, but, you know, I mean, some people say Eccleston's is bland, but, you know, I prefer that costume because, you know, they're trying to make the Doctor look a bit more human, but this costume is just a clash of colours, and it is so bad.
I mean, now finally something.
Yeah, and you get more stuff here with the twins, just yawn, yawn.
What are you doing? I don't know where we're from and where we're going.
What are you doing?
Yeah, what are you doing? You know, great dialogue, guys, great dialogue.
I might be able to put out some sort of distress signal, but who's going to hear it? How should I know? Keeping it at the door.
There's no personality.
Yeah.
The music is just.
Oh God, look at these aliens. Dear Lord.
The fuck?
They look awful. Seriously, is this the best they could do after the Caves of Androzani?
I mean, these aliens look like if Chewbacca would have had a shave.
Yeah.
Oh!
I just never understood, why does a man capture them? You know, oh God.
What's so important about these twins?
And you know, it was stupid. Like, why did he just come and look at them and leave?
I only hope it works.
You know. Oh.
Yes?
I mean, we're 16 minutes in and there's no plot really. All the plot is the twins have been kidnapped and you don't give a fuck about them. And the Doctor has strangled Perry. You know, very eventful. You know.
Yeah, the Doctor going through his PTSD.
Yeah. But I mean, it doesn't make sense as well. I mean, you know, the Doctor did have post-traumatic stress after. He did have post-traumatic stress usually after regeneration, but it died down most of the time.
Surely by this point he would be used to it, because it regenerated like 5 times already.
Yeah. And what I don't like about Colin Baker's Doctor, I mean, a lot of people defend. Some people defend him and say like he's a good Doctor and. You know, he'd suffered from the scripts, and I understand the scripts weren't very good. I mean, they were pretty bad at this point, but I just don't like his Doctor. I mean, for me, he is the worst Doctor because he's just the most unlikable. I mean, with the first Doctor, at the start, he was grumpy, and, you know, he didn't really trust humans, but, you know, he mellowed out, and, you know, he grew to trust humans, and, you know, he grew to his companions, and the Doctor changed, and then the second Doctor that continued on, and the third Doctor was a little bit grumpy, but you know he still got on his companions, and then the fourth Doctor was the same, and the fifth Doctor, but then you get to the sixth Doctor, and it's like It's like the first Doctor all over again, and it's like, you know, we've progressed away from that. We don't need this again.
But it's so much more campy.
Yeah.
I don't know it. I don't know anything any longer.
Yeah, that scene where he gets on his, you know,
I know what you said, but do it
knees.
I mean about being a hermit.
Never more so. No need
The
to
Doctor
remind you.
wants to be a hermit, you know,
needs a
God
hermitage. You
save
and I
us.
had him find one.
This place good enough?
When I've had him, must find one.
Quite useless for contemplation. No. What we need is a cave, some utterly comfortless place where you and I can suffer together.
God.
Why should I be made to suffer?
Because you have been chosen. It shall be your humble privilege to minister unto my needs.
God.
It will be but nothing must be allowed to interfere with my period of contemplation.
Absolute mess.
Yeah.
I was speaking.
Like, why does he want to become a hermit all of a sudden? I know that he does have some stress, but this is just really bad writing.
I must atone for what I have done.
I won't die. I won't die.
The acting here is just so over the top by Colin Baker. You know, there's a thing called subtlety, and he doesn't know anything about it.
No, he's too theatrical, I think. I mean, the Doctor can be played in many different ways, but I think he has taken it to a level that is a bit unprecedented.
I mean, I think the first 4 Doctors were great actors, all of them, even though William Hartnell did suffer towards the end. And they all gave great performances, and they were never over the top. But with Colin Baker, it's just, you know, ham, you know. And he says he prefers he prefers the theatre, he prefers doing pantomime. So, you know.
I mean, you know, every line has to be delivered like this. I have to be so big, I have to be so loud, and you know, it's like that.
Yeah. Oh God, we have the slug thing here that he's talking to.
What the fuck is this? What the fucking slug? What is that thing? Who the fuck thought that? I mean, you know, I thought the sets were badly designed, but this, my God, this is ridiculous. Fucking slug.
And the makeup is so bad.
The voice as well.
And you know, he takes orders from a fucking slug.
I have procured that genius. Do not
Fuck me, you know it's bad when there's a fucking slug in them.
You are my creature. It's so bad.
Look at the eyes, it's so goofy.
I mean, they really thought this was a good villain?
Whatever time remains to one fighting free. Drive them to the limit.
Russell T. Davies said this was the beginning of the end, and he was right.
Make certain there are no survivors.
And my mum, actually, she watched from the Hartnell years, and she stopped watching when, you know, he came to Colin Baker, because it was that bad.
Then stay behind.
Stay behind. Does he need to shout every word out? Does he really need to?
No one could have lived through it, eh? Why, yes, what he did.
God.
You would have left one of your own kind to die.
Yeah, stop being such a dick. How did she know?
Yes.
How did she know that that guy was there?
At once.
Exactly.
Until we know more about how our fighters were destroyed, no more lives. But you can't just abandon. That is a direct order from the minister.
Ugh.
And may my bones rot.
His Doctor does soften slightly with Perry and Trial of the Time Lord, but even then he's still a huge dick.
Exactly.
Children. No, children, you know, wow. You know, I'm really believing this acting here.
Small thanks to you.
Small thanks to you. No, fuck off,
Perry.
Doctor.
What
Just
a
fuck off.
Pitiful performance.
How can you be so pathetic?
She's right.
Oh, talk about me giving a performance. You never stop giving them. When you're not really mad and trying to kill me, that is. Look at you now.
What do you mean?
I never saw anyone who loved himself so much with less reason.
Yeah.
You've forgotten all about him. By the time you stop
Harry's
congratulating
right,
yourself,
you know,
I'll probably be dead.
Harry!
She's sort of summing up what happened to the Doctor.
Destroyed my entire command. Now I'm going to kill you. Now I'm going to kill you.
But that's
Such
it.
a bad cliffhanger.
And that's how it ends? Well, fuck me. Well, that was part 1.
That is just such a terrible cliffhanger. Oh my god.
Bra fucking vote. I'm going
David
to
watched this as well, Labyrinth 35, and I mean, when I first watched this and when David first watched this, we couldn't get past the first part. It was that bad. Oh, God.
Nothing happens.
Yeah, nothing happens. And it's just badly acted, and it's bad set design.
Don't worry, folks. There's 3 more episodes of this one to go.
It's bad set design, bad acting. You know, everything about it. I mean, the Doctor's unlikable. The plot is boring. The villain is laughable.
The strangling scene is just insulting.
Yeah, and the fucking slug, you know.
Director Peter Moffat.
Yeah, it's funny. Anthony Stephen wrote this.
Well, did he? Did he write anything?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Are you on part 2 yet?
No, not yet.
Sorry. I'll give you a chance to.
Yeah. No, but anyway, that first part is just. Ugh. Dear me.
What a way to kick off the era.
What a way to kick off the Colin Baker era, you know. Ugh. Right, I'm on part 2 now. Just.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Sorry. 3, 2.
But hold on. Oh, fuck. Just getting this fucking thing to load. Yeah, I'm on it now, yeah.
Oh, great face. No way.
Yeah. I mean, that's the first time they showed the Doctor smiling in the title sequence, and it's so cheesy. It is really cheesy.
It just looks creepy.
Yeah. Yeah, by Anthony Stephen, you know, he did a great job. I don't think he ever wrote for Doctor Who again.
I wonder why.
By the time you stop congratulating yourself, I'll probably be dead.
Harry!
Destroyed my entire command. Now I'm going to kill you. Now I'm going to kill you.
God.
Oh!
And the acting is just so bad.
The doctor rescued you. The doctor rescued you.
The Doctor rescue, you know, it's
The Doctor?
Put down the gun. Please put it down.
No. He deserves.
no offense to Nicola Bryant, but even she's a bit wooden in this.
At least
Put it down, you know.
He's going to kill
He
me.
didn't do anything.
Oh, God.
Harry?
God.
I didn't know what he was doing. I mean, I think what he must have suffered to act like that.
Quite beside the point. For all you seem to care, I could be lying dead at your feet this very moment.
But you're not. You're safe.
God.
Point is,
It's just, you know,
save him.
Easily.
it's just
I'm
such
not
a
going
dick.
to.
You must.
You never cease to amaze me. All you're asking me to do is revive a man who had every intention of murdering me.
We can't let him die. We can't let him die.
You know, I mean,
His
he
life or
doesn't
mine, I certainly
understand
can't.
that the guy was, you know, hurt, and he thought he killed him, and, you know, the Doctor doesn't care.
he doesn't seem to care about anybody else in this story.
Just arm the gun.
Yeah.
I'll hide the power pack. He can't do much harm, man.
I wouldn't like to count on it.
All right.
All right. Have it your own way. That's the medical.
Well,
Because the aliens in this are just so
others must have been
badly.
destroyed with their ships.
They just look so
What about
terrible.
our own ship?
It's like foil
No
everywhere.
sign of damage? Yeah, all the same, you better go out and check it.
Set is
Don't
so
want to be
bad.
stuck here with a malfunctioning ship at once.
God.
Don't use the transmat, the radiation level is too high.
And look at these sets. Awful.
I mean, this story is the very
It's only the
definition
side
of
effects of the energy beam.
creativeness.
Yeah.
If we go out again, we risk
There is no
radiation.
redeeming qualities about
We
this,
use the service ducts. They'll provide protection.
other than maybe the title sequence
Yeah.
and some of Nicola Bryant's acting.
Yeah.
That's the best speed you can manage.
These fucking mops again.
This slug just wants them to make these mathematical calculations for him. Just, you know, what a great plot.
This slug.
What a way to engage the viewer.
My fingers are so sore, I can hardly hold the pen.
Don't expect any
Oh, one of my fingers are so sore holding the pen. Oh, shut up.
Now tell me, what use would a slug have for these
I
fucking
would let you use
mopeds?
electronic. As it is, I can't trust you. Get on the roof.
So dumb.
Oh, it's not black color.
No. Oh, great acting.
No,
I warn you.
warn away. You can't force us to work.
Oh,
God.
I can if I have to.
I can if I have to. You know, great acting. Oh my
Where's the
God.
candy man?
Give them the Oscar. Give them the BAFTA.
But the candy man can.
These twins deserve the BAFTA. Honestly.
I think, well, they deserve a
Where
Razzie.
the planet called?
Yeah. I was joking. Yeah.
Its new master.
In the words of
Master is a
Jonathan
creature
Price,
of infinite
pathetic.
ambition. He requires the gifts of your genius to further that ambition.
Yeah.
I cannot say more.
But I can. Professor Edward is a merciful being. But the sanctity of life, I do not. He'll make you once more.
Oh my God.
Your minds removed from your bodies, and you
Boo!
you understood. I see
Get off!
that you
Boo!
Oh God.
Like a pantomime.
Pick up your
Why would those kids be scared by a fucking slug?
Post-operative shock occluded, wounds closed, no internal hemorrhage. This deep healing leaves a small marvel. Great improvement on your laser scalpel.
We're in the second part and still hardly anything has happened.
Excellent. Oh, the satisfaction, Penny.
The doctor
Knowing
hasn't
to
even
save the
landed
life
on,
brain
you know,
now.
he hasn't even found out what the plot is yet. Because there is no fucking plot.
They spent so long in the
Questioning
fucking
my skill.
TARDIS.
No, not your skill, Doctor.
Oh, in that case, the short answer is yes.
You questioning my skill, you know,
Cities of
yes, I
hours
am.
rest, you'll be right as rain. Whatever that means. An hour. An hour.
This is the only time in the show's history I wish the doctor degenerated.
Take plans, Penny. My full powers are returning.
Silence. Do you think that wise?
My perception's sharpening. I can sense some massive danger threatening the
Even though he can't degenerate. Well, apparently he can because of Dare the Doctor.
That's why we
Yeah,
came,
pisses me
That's
off.
why we came here, so that you could meditate.
Yeah.
Words spoken in the sickness of transition. Now, there is a sickness in the air. I can feel the vibrations. I cannot yet detect their source, but it is there.
Yeah, the sickness-
I am never wrong. The life force
There's a
itself
sickness
is
in the
danger of
neck
extinction.
in the air
We
because
must
you keep
find its
talking.
evil and destroy it.
How?
Yes. Yes, here's the problem. It's odd, Penny. The indications are very strong. I think the clue we need is here on Titan 3. Children.
Oh, wow.
He said something about children.
Oh,
Children.
He's
Wow.
into space on a mission. His spacecraft crashes. He talks about children. Abducted children, that's it. Importance, kidnapped by aliens, brought here to Titan free, held for a king's ransom.
Yeah, don't.
There's nothing of the kind.
You said yourself there wasn't any life here.
There wasn't. But we're here, he's here. Things change.
The way they show off the set way too much during the Colin Baker era, it just makes the set look really cheap and tacky.
Oh. It looks like they're on the set of Superman 4.
Yeah.
Fucking mood.
What's that?
Ah, Palace of the Slugs.
Oh, God.
That is something which has no business on an uninhabited asteroid.
Thou craggy knob!
That's no part of nature's handiwork.
Like when he says that in the first part, you're just like, what?
Let's get
Did
going.
he say that in part 1?
Have you noticed
Yeah.
radiation level?
Oh, we missed it.
What's a little radiation? When we have a purpose, a mission in life.
What's a little radiation? Let me think. You can get radiation sickness and die of cancer. That's a great thing, Doctor.
Harry?
Yes, of course.
Look, Doctor. Even if you are right about the radiation level, even if there are abducted children, you're talking about aliens. I mean, we can't even defend ourselves.
Don't worry, Perry. I won't be putting your life at any risk, or mine either, for that matter. This is just a simple request.
Yeah, get radiation sickness, Doctor. I thought you'd learned from the very first story, the Daleks, that you need to stay away from radiation. Sorry, not the first story, the second story.
Nothing venture.
Well, the good thing is, if he does go near radiation, he'll have to regenerate again.
Yeah, thank God. I wish we just got Sylvester McCoy in this story. In part 2, that would have been even better.
Yeah. Run! Eddie, run!
Or like the Curse of Fatal Death, he keeps regenerating every few minutes.
If you transform all those equations into terms of power, you'll have enough energy there to generate a small sun.
No, but this is passive power for transportation. Extremely
Boom, mopheads.
Oh, God.
Shades of night were falling fast, as through an alpine village passed a youth who bore amid snow and ice a banner with a strange device. Excelsior!
Doctor, stop it!
Excelsior!
I was only trying to cheer you up.
Excelsior!
Primitive American verse makers. Long fellow, wasn't it?
Who cares? You're making enough noise to raise the dead. So tired.
Courage, Perry. Just follow in my footsteps.
God.
And renew le deluge.
I just wish the Doctor would shut up. He's just so insufferable to listen to because he's shouting everything and just being a dick about everything.
He's talking gibberish.
Would you rather I went round and knocked on the front door? I'm a knight errant.
Dragging knob!
Thou craggy knob! So what, is the Doctor gay?
Oh.
Something to do with these circles.
It's very liquid.
Yeah.
Take our memories away. I suppose so.
This is so bad.
Scared ones. Awful.
I'm scared.
I've never been so frightened in my life.
Oh, this awful creature.
There's everything else as well. This place. What they're forcing us to do. Whatever it is they aim to do with it when we're finished. I feel, well, I don't feel grown up anymore. There's nothing we can do. We must just carry on. We daren't stop now.
Transmission completed. Any problems?
None. You have done well.
Thank you.
It's so...
No idea where we're going.
To our destiny.
Can't we rest? Our destiny can wait a moment.
The lighting there is good, but...
Yeah.
Very quickly.
It doesn't really make up for this story, though.
Yeah.
What did I tell you? Listen.
Yeah.
Let's get out of here.
The perpetual cry of all cowards. We must investigate.
They're right. It could be enormous danger. Even worse.
Worse.
Perhaps you're right. For the purpose
They're coward, you know.
Perhaps you're right.
I mean, Perry has her head screwed on. She doesn't want to get killed.
Yeah, she's the only one with her head screwed on in this story.
We found out what we want to know.
But there is nothing though.
I mean, making the Doctor post-traumatically stressed throughout the whole story and the whole season was a really bad
There are
move.
any children.
You genuinely know what I'm doing here.
Unthinking act of foolish bravado. You know my current state of mind.
It's messed up.
No. Discretion is always the better part of valor.
Ah,
You want?
Yeah. God.
Doctor?
Where is it now? Aliens? No, shoot. It's not my fault.
Ballad. What's
It's all
like my Perry?
No, mercy.
Yeah, this is so over the top and past the Miley. No, don't shoot me, don't shoot me.
No.
Return at once.
The Doctor's just a sissy. You know?
Very well.
Craggy knob.
God.
As opposed to floppy dick.
JNT, he ruined the show. He really did.
Oh,
I mean,
look,
if it wasn't for this story and the rest of this series, we might have had Doctor Who in the 90s.
I mean, look at that thing on the monitor. That hose thing. That looks like a craggy knob.
Yeah. What part are you on?
They've just been captured. They're living in the tunnels.
They've just been captured and what?
Like they're leading Perry and the Doctor through the tunnels.
Look, I'm sure we
Yeah.
can sort this out, Abby.
Same as me then.
None of this is my fault. I'm the innocent party. It's all her fault. She's forever leading me up the straight
It's all
and
her
narrow.
fault, you know. God's sake.
I'm on.
Kindly refrain from addressing me as
38,
Doc
7.
Gilliam.
Kindly refrain from calling me Doc Pepper Gilliam to shut up.
This technology looks familiar.
Keep your big mouth shut.
Oh, my sincere apologies. A momentary lapse. I am now.
She's right. Keep your big mouth shut. The Doctor in the story never shuts up.
Who said the word that? I can't explain.
But I can. We are in no sense survivors. We came to Titan 3 of our own free will.
Their right minds come to Titan 3 of their own free will.
Pilgrims in search of peace. They were spying. Silence,
I
wretch!
will not be silent. Look at
Silence,
them.
wretch, you know,
They're
God.
not survivors from the wreck. They're spies. Put them to death. Hold your tongue, no one.
Right, it's just so loud and
See
annoying.
your pilgrims.
Yes,
Yeah.
pilgrims.
Silence
Need a
your
place
knob.
to meditate.
Yeah.
We're searching for a cave when we happen to stumble into your service duct.
And your companion.
My disciple.
My disciple. God, what is
A most
this?
devout young person.
Jesus and the 12 disciples?
No, sir. Whoever you are,
I think you mean
I demand a
Judas.
full explanation of this
What?
I think you mean Judas.
disgraceful.
Yeah. He's Judas.
There's a place that floats upon my memory.
I'm hallucinating.
Impossible. I'm hallucinating. As I live and breathe, Asmael, you old dog. What in the name of wonder are you
God.
doing? Here is my old friend,
Asmael,
mentor,
you
the
old
master
dog.
of Japonda.
Nothing of the kind. I never saw you in my life.
I've regenerated.
Give me, old friend. Of course you don't recognize me. I've regenerated twice since our last meeting. The twin hearts that beat as one. I'm a Time Lord just as you
Oh,
are.
God.
In case you're still.
What I don't
content
understand
not
is
to
why the
know
fuck
I
is
am, never
Asmael
mind
the
you.
twins and all
Last
this
time I stayed, that last night,
shit?
when you drank like 20 giants, and I had to put you in the fountain to soap you up.
I must concede you have to be the doctor.
I haven't.
This is
For
such
a minute,
bad
you almost had
acting.
me. You worried there.
From both of them.
You don't seem overjoyed.
There's nothing to rejoice about. I wish I could extend the hand of friendship.
Then why don't you?
The old times are gone forever.
Oh, Dr. Look.
Gallifrey hasn't destroyed yet.
Nothing. Children. By heaven, Perry, I was right.
I was right.
Oh dear.
And this fighter pilot, you know, what, you know, what does he really add to the story? Nothing.
So he's there to steal the TARDIS? What?
We're 17 minutes into the second part, and the Doctor has only now encountered the twins. You know, what a fucking drag.
You may as well have cut out the first two parts.
Yeah.
So bad.
Yeah, that gun prop is awful.
Not.
I see. You abduct these children, deprive them of their memories, bring them to this screaming wilderness, and won't disclose your motives. It hardly sounds in character.
You're wasting time.
Yeah.
Well, what's time to us?
You don't really seem in character,
We're in
Doctor.
trouble,
The
Asma.
things you're saying.
Grave trouble.
There's a point beyond trouble. You can't help me now.
Don't be absurd. You and I together. Infallible combination.
Oh.
Well,
Great effect.
Let this at least be clear, Doctor. I am no longer master.
You
of
can tell the
power,
sets
but I
are
can
made
still
from
save my-
tin foil.
I will do so whatever the cost, even the price of friendship. You were always full of good intentions, Doctor. I cannot risk you interfering now.
What does that mean?
You must stay here.
I don't think it's fit for you to call him Doctor.
Yeah, and this guy wanders into the TARDIS wardrobe.
Oh, I need a new makeover.
Yeah, and he puts on like a Colin Baker-ish outfit.
The lock on the main door has 10 meters. Now, will you please move over there? You too.
Unfortunately, this wasn't the first Colin Baker story to be absolute shit. We also got Time Lash that season.
Once we've gone,
Don't try to follow us. Once we've gone, the transmat will become RANT. Try to use it in your domain to spread across the surface.
Yeah.
They are.
If it's of any comfort, Doctor, I too remember that evening by the fountain.
What?
Yeah, this evening by the fountain. Who gives a shit?
Is the Doctor gay?
Yeah. At least having a bromance or something.
Oh, he had a Time Lord orgy.
Poor fellow.
Yeah.
He's not a bit like that, really.
Degenerates during a
With Romana sandwiched in the middle.
Here forever.
No, Perry. A few days
Time
first.
Lords actually have sex with
That's what he
humans.
said. 10 million combination.
That's
They
right.
never really specify
It may
Time
take
Lords
even
can
me
have sex with
few
humans. I mean,
days.
don't even know if they have a
Well,
penis.
no time like the present. Let's get started.
Did you say tits up, Harry?
Tits up, Perry. Look what he's wearing.
Oh, God.
I'm gonna look like Colin Baker.
No, you're not. Looks like he's got his stars in their eyes.
Like, what's the point of him putting that on? He just looks stupid. What does it add to the plot? Nothing.
Exactly. It's an excuse for a costume change.
Doctor! Doctor, quickly.
Like, why does he suddenly
Oh, it's vital. It's
go to the
I don't want
wardrobe
to
and pick that out? What does, you know, that's nothing. And she's like, Doctor, something's flashing. Like, oh no.
Oh, no.
Yeah, but a few days, a few hours. In fact, we haven't got that many minutes.
It's a self-destruct mechanism, isn't it?
Well, I can't switch off.
Oh
We're
God.
gonna die.
It's such a cliche. A self-destruct.
Craggy knob.
Blow us up.
Craggy knob.
Yeah. Got this prick again. But all he's done so far is pick a new costume and wander around the TARDIS.
I don't know why we cut back to him.
Yeah.
Eureka!
They're really trying to spread this out into 4 parts. They're really trying to spread this
Stand by for
thinly
takeoff.
made
Standing
story
by.
into 4 parts.
That should do the trick. I'll be brief. I must be very brief. That is known as a revitalizing modulator. It breaks down your molecular structure and puts it back together again. Most refreshing process. Until now, that's the only purpose it served.
Looks like the Doctor is constantly just staring back at Terry's
What?
10
Terry's
seconds to be
tits.
precise. You'll find yourself in the TARDIS.
Are you sure?
Absolutely. In you go. Oh, no. Wait a minute. Oh, I won't be able to see the computer clock when it's my turn, and I need to be able to compensate for the time factor, so I arrive back at the TARDIS at the same time as you do. Your watch, Perry. Lend me your watch. Come on, quickly.
God.
When I stand clear, press the internal button. Precisely 1 minute, I'm going to be blown to pieces.
Bye, Petty.
That would be much better for us.
It worked. It actually worked.
Oh,
No. Yawn.
No, it stopped.
why no slugs who move faster than this? Oh, wait.
Oh, God. Oh,
Hello.
Doctor?
God. Guy, that stupid coat.
Doctor, where are you?
Why does she not see them?
He's just pointing his gun at her and she doesn't care.
No.
No.
Oh, no.
Oh, no, Doctor.
I mean, okay, yeah, that was bad. That was
What
bad.
a terrible cliffhanger.
What a terrible action piece as well.
Yeah.
Oh,
Did
Dustin,
she
oh,
really?
no. Oh, no.
Did she, why does she care anyway? He's such a dick,
Oh,
He
no.
tried to kill her.
Oh, no. Oh, I don't care.
The acting is just so terrible. I'm sorry, Nicola, Bryant, but oh God. I mean, what's funny as well? She just got out of drama school when JNT cast her as Perry. Oh God.
I mean, good job for her to get into it. Totally. Quite often drama school. But it's, come on, it's better than that.
Yeah.
Oh,
The only thing
God.
I've liked so far of these 2 parts is the music and the title sequence. That's it.
Well, I wouldn't even play the music. I'd say, well, the music in the actual theme is good.
Yeah, the theme. I mean, a theme, not the actual soundtrack.
But the incidental score is just.
Peter Moffat's direction and Anthony Reed's, writing, just abysmal. So that was part 2. God. Halfway through this shit fest.
It was just as bad as the other one.
Yeah. God.
Sorry, if you bear with me 1 second, I'm just going to answer the door. I'll be back.
Okay.
Keep talking.
I'll wait till you're back. Yeah. So yeah, part 2 just as uneventful and terrible as part 1. I can't believe that the BBC and JNT thought that this would be acceptable to put out on Saturday night. Oh God. BBC standards just didn't exist. And Colin Baker, I'm sorry for all those Colin Baker fans, but I can't stand his Doctor. Can't stand his Doctor. Like a lot of fans, or some fans say they love all the Doctors, but I don't. I'm sorry, I don't. Colin
In
Baker's...
the name of Craggy Knob!
Yeah, Craggy Knob. God.
He is a fucking craggy knob.
Yeah, I mean the acting is woeful, and JNT, casting Colin Baker because of the garden party, because he was funny at a garden party. I mean,
it feels like they've actually filmed this at the garden party.
Yeah.
Like, Colin, can I just pull you aside for a second? I'd like you to be the Doctor. Can we film this? It's almost like a parody. It's a self-parody of Doctor Who. You know. Just an absolute train wreck from beginning to end. And there are no qualities. None.
Yeah.
Nul point.
Yeah. I'm sorry there. Yeah. I mean, your review, you were right. You gave it a 0, and I totally understand that.
Yeah. I mean, should we continue with this debacle?
If you want to. Yeah.
We've only got 2 more to go. 40 minutes. Won't hurt. We're halfway there.
It's been the slowest 40 minutes of my life.
That's why doing the commentary helps.
Yeah. Oh, God. And eating the popcorn. I've been eating the popcorn for most of part 1 and 2, and I've still got a bit left. So
same.
And I've got a Lucozade, so hopefully I can make it through with the Lucozade and the popcorn by my side.
Yeah, the popcorn's a friend. The popcorn will help you out.
Oh,
Shall we continue with Craggy Knob?
yeah.
I'm
The
on
Craggy Knob part 3.
part 3. Okay, you ready?
Yeah. Tell me when to go.
3, 2, 1, play.
Yeah, the smile is just so cheesy.
That's a great face. Go away.
And the purple colour of the Starfield, it's like, yeah, we get his Doctor as a multicolored coat, but did you need to put the purple colour over the title sequence?
I can't believe I've got this on DVD.
By Anthony Stephen, you know, he actually put his name up as crediting this story, you know.
Well, what story? Where is the story?
Yeah.
It worked. It actually worked.
Well, the story didn't.
Yeah. Well, at least our DVDs are in sync now.
Yeah.
No, it stopped.
God. God.
Doctor?
The acting is just so... It's like a children's pantomime. You know,
Doctor,
who
where
are
are
you?
you?
But why did she not notice that guy?
Yeah, she doesn't care. You know, he's pointing a gun at her.
No.
No.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh no, Doctor.
The acting's so bad.
Doctor.
Cliffhangers are awful.
Did you see that?
I think so.
Oh,
What?
God.
Hang on. First he's pointing a gun at
Doctor,
and now he's like on her side.
what? Are you here?
Yeah.
What's the name is going on? You're flesh and blood, at least.
Leave me alone.
You are flesh and blood, at least. Oh, could you not tell that, mate?
Stupid girls, watch.
How I hate these hit or miss.
And that crash, you know. Well, what is going on?
Doctor, thank heavens, whatever happened?
Your watch stopped. I overcompensated. Ended up in the wrong time zone. 10 seconds into your future.
Oh, God.
10 seconds into your future.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Of course I did.
Yeah. Who
I'll
cares?
never understand
Why
the
did he have to travel
I'm
back
sure
in
they
time
use
10
it,
seconds
use
to give
it,
her
even
the
try to
watch
kill you.
again?
If you behave as I have,
It's
I
so
think it's
unnecessary.
Yeah.
It's called compassion, Doctor. It's the difference that remains between us.
Earthlings.
Compassion between you two?
Someone like to tell
Yeah.
me what is
She's
going
right.
on.
She has compassion. He
All right.
doesn't.
Lieutenant. I was fine. I'm not sure anymore. My ship.
You were lucky to escape. No one else did.
Look, they're both wearing these
sorry.
multicolored
What went wrong?
monstrosities on them, you know.
Control ceased. After that, I don't remember anything.
It's like, you can really tell. I mean, this episode is really dated badly. You can really tell it's from the 80s.
He saved your life.
And we did not abduct the twins.
God.
Twins. What do you know about them?
Why is
Never
he
mind
keep
about
getting
that.
his
That'll
gun
do. Put
out?
that thing away, will you? If you ever hope to see them again, you're in
Twins, what
charge.
do you know about them?
Where to?
could guess.
Imagine if this was released theatrically. It was cinema.
Right, you don't leave me very much choice, do you?
I can't believe JNT, the BBC, said, you know, this is acceptable to put out.
Yeah, oh yeah. Twin Dilemma, this is a good story. I like the script.
He was your friend.
Yeah.
Girl, did you know her?
He was your friend.
Left him there to die.
They will survive.
It's just like, piss off.
If you don't mind.
And your name is Asmael.
Yes, yes, I agree. A small deception. Now be patient.
It's Asmael, you know, who cares?
Chewie.
Blip on the scanner.
Blip on the
Yes.
scanner.
Very far ahead.
Oh,
On
God.
the same course. Or some merchant man. No concern about it.
The production value just stinks.
They will not.
It's a stinky cheese.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
It's a
The
moldy
same
ass.
pass.
It's a stinky
I
cheese.
set it to self-destruct.
It should be grated and then shredded and then thrown on the
I gave no orders.
Yeah. Twin Dilemma,
Correct.
along with Series 6 and Time the Rami,
Why, no more?
are probably the worst pieces of
It is
television
what
I've ever
Lord
seen in my
Nestor
life.
would have wished.
Doctor Who as
Why
well.
would he want to kill us?
What?
I don't know.
Especially from
And
Doctor
if he's
Who.
going to Jaconda, why
Yeah.
stop off at Titan 3?
No,
I mean, you've had, I mean,
No,
you know, I mean, it's amazing how you can go from such a huge quality of
Consider what we
stories
know.
like
Asmael.
The Deadly Assassin, Genesis of the
Needs a
Daleks,
genius that twins.
Series 1 of Doctor Who,
Galaxies, that's the man.
most of the episodes in that,
Says
and
he's no longer
Series
master of his
2,
craft.
3, and 4, even though
He
some
wants
people
to
don't like
save-
Series 2. You know,
But
you can go
I
from really
cannot
good
help
quality
but do
like
so.
that and the classic series
He really does
to
believe such
shit like
unimaginable
this.
rubbish, he must be faced by some unimaginable disaster, which has unhinged his mind. Well, we shall soon discover what it is.
You know, unimaginable disaster, yeah, this story.
The lair of the slugs.
God. You know,
Every time he's so.
What is this creature?
A porter from the Royal Hatcheries, Master.
What the fuck are they
What is
wearing?
this crime?
After routine search, following his tour of duty, he was found to have this concealed on his person.
What does it contain?
Vegetables from the Royal Hatcheries, Master.
vegetables of the royal. Who gives a
Somebody
shit?
is dead.
You would steal vegetables from a slug.
Mercy, great master.
He's
Mercy.
begging for his life after stealing a bunch of vegetables.
Starving is no difference. Your family will have to starve without your company.
You can't even understand what he's saying. You said.
Stand aside, guards.
Yeah, I know. It's just like.
Maximum penalty. Death by embolism.
Death by embolism. What the hell is that?
Shoot me.
Food storage.
Oh my god, they killed him because he stole a couple of vegetables. Oh my lord.
Man.
Asmael will soon be here.
Yes, master.
When he arrives, have him escorted to his laboratory with the
Anthony Stephen, you are a prick for writing this story.
Now we're in a forest for some reason. Well,
I wonder if he ever got any, you know, I wonder if he got any writing credits after this shit.
well. Yeah.
Oh, God.
There was one.
And we just have this random shot of the desert and the planet. It's like, what is the point?
At least the TARDIS stayed the same.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
You know, what is he doing?
Jaconda the Beautiful.
You call it beautiful?
Yeah.
Absolutely ghastly.
To ponder the beautiful. Yeah. Where I can't see it.
Oh, no.
Oh no.
Does it not be true?
Oh dear.
Giant gastropods.
Follow the trail and you'll find the slugs.
What are you talking about?
Half
Half humanoid, half
Baker
slug.
ruined this.
So?
Just look around you. Look at the devastation.
Yeah.
Gastropods did this.
What else?
Are you sure your mind isn't wandering again?
Of course not.
8 minutes into this
The myth after all.
third part, and still the
Somehow,
story
they're
has
seeing
gone
somehow.
nowhere. It is just slogged on.
They've returned.
Nonsense.
You think so?
Well, of course it is.
I wish I could agree with you. This was once a forest grove. Look at the trees. A trace of foliage. The very bark stripped of the trunks.
God.
The soil. Barren. Nothing but these telltale tracks. The slime trails of the giant gastropods.
God. Yeah, the slugs are called gastropods, I think, you know.
Gastropods. Slime trails.
You know, I mean, who thought, you know what would be great as a Doctor Who villain? A slug, you know? We've had the Daleks, we've had Davros, we've had the Cybermen, we've had the Master, we've had the Silurians. Let's have a fucking slug.
To Joconda control.
And I mean, it kind of fits in with the pace of the story.
Approaching
Fucking
re-entry.
slow.
Permission to touch down at Omega intersection.
You are clear to approach.
Thank you,
Why would this
control.
guy work for the slugs as
On
well?
arrival, report to Paris.
Oh,
Transport will be waiting.
God.
Out.
oh dear.
What are you going to do?
Panic at any moment.
Where is Edgeworth likely to have taken the twins?
Paris.
Well, shouldn't we go there?
And be killed?
Just give me directions and I'll go alone if you're afraid.
Me? Afraid?
Well, aren't you?
You have a nasty habit of pinpointing the truth, young man.
We can't let him go alone.
Watch me.
Well, you know what's out there. He doesn't.
Well, then let him go to the palace, and he'll know as much as I do.
Well, Doctor, you must help.
Oh, is this another attempt to teach me compassion?
Oh,
Just
God.
tell me where it is and I'll be happy to go alone.
It's all
Why can't the Doctor just, you know...
right for you.
The Doctor is never supposed to have a huge ego.
Strong,
Yeah.
disciplined.
He's not.
Confident
That's
in
the
your mission,
whole
your
point of the
energy's
character.
boundless,
He
you're highly
isn't
motivated to
a dick.
success.
He doesn't have a
You
huge
even have a
ego.
gun to enforce your will upon
No,
others.
Hartnell's Doctor was crotchety.
Oh.
Hartnell's Doctor was grumpy, but he never had an ego. He never, you know... He
I mean,
never
there
had a
is
huge
some-
ego anyway. He
There
never
is
had a
a
really
certain level
huge
of
ego.
smugness, but they've taken it way too far with this story.
Feeling sorry for yourself.
You know, there was a plan. Colin Baker wanted to be the longest Doctor.
Got the TARDIS.
He wanted to... Colin Baker wanted to be the longest Doctor, and he wanted his character to soften throughout the 7 or 8 years that he was the Doctor. And I'm glad they didn't do that, because, you know, 7 or 8 years of Colin Baker, you know... I mean, Tom Baker's the longest running Doctor. I couldn't stand 7 or 8 years from Colin Baker. And, you know, the Doctor, he's supposed to feel compassion. He's supposed to be, you know, he's supposed to help people, to save people. He's not supposed to be this, you know, giant egomaniac. You know, he doesn't give a shit about him. No, he doesn't give a shit about his companions or anybody else.
Yeah.
Thank you for bringing me here.
You give him much choice. Now look, Sergeant.
Lieutenant.
Lieutenant.
Don't be smug with me. Now, I've already explained my condition. I may be behaving like a manic barometer, but don't shrug off help when it's offered. Can't afford to.
I thank you for your offer, Doctor, but frankly, I find you unreliable.
I do like that
Says most
bit when they were
currency.
like lieutenant.
It
Yeah.
doesn't stop people spending money wisely.
The Doctor might be useful.
Well, all right. But if you become unstable again, Doctor, I won't hesitate to kill you.
Where are you taking us?
You know,
see.
What do you like to
this
think about
guy,
Mr.
you know,
You've only played very badly. You're so blatantly transparent.
Continue to provoke me in the matter that invades your genius will finish up with so much animal fodder.
God.
Why would they be intimidated by that guy?
Idiots.
Yeah, he's an
Utterly
old man.
idiots.
You know, he's a really old man. You know, you just beat him up and run away, you know.
Absolutely. As me, I'll show you once. This passage.
All the story has been so far
Leads to the
is
centre of the palace.
talking, walking and
Underground boat
talking,
road in times of
and
danger.
that's it. There's been no
Talking,
action,
walk-
there's been no adventure. It's just been
I-
walking and talking and pointless bollocks scenes.
Yeah, you know the best way to sum it up be
This is
walking,
where I
talking,
work.
strangling slugs. Walking, talking, strangling slugs. Walking, talking, strangling slugs. Walking,
Yeah.
talking, strangling slugs.
Eggs. You're looking at Lord Mester's incubator.
Oh yeah, these are the eggs of his gastropods, you know, his incubator. It's like, oh god.
One of Lord Mester's lackeys.
Not quite, Esmail. I am a humble servant of the Lord Nestor. I'm his chamberlain. Welcome to the palace to come. I will inform the Lord Nestor of your safe arrival.
If you must do so.
My duty has commanded me.
Well, hurry then. And you too now, Mother?
No, I must remain. I too have been commanded.
You know, commanded.
One day you will probably yourselves a treason.
Jesus Christ.
No.
Well, let it not concern you.
We're 14 minutes in, we've got 10 minutes left, and oh god.
I think this one's even slower than the first two parts.
I think I agree, yeah.
I don't know how old they are, but they tell the whole story.
Oh yes, right, yes, jolly good.
I've just been talking bollocks for 3.5 episodes.
This is Colin Baker doing his Shakespearean fucking
Great
speech.
deal of terrible revenge.
Yeah, it's him doing his pantomime
Half
shit.
humanoid,
No,
half slug.
the point of television, and even films more so, but even television is that you have to be subtle as well. You can't be over the top all the time. You know, that's fine for the theater. That's fine for pantomime. But being over the top on television is just, you know, ridiculous. It's just bad acting.
There's more truth than myth.
And it doesn't improve in any of the other stories that he's in after this.
Too long, it seems.
And you know, the funny thing is, when I first watched the Twin Dilemma and I first watched the Sixth Doctor stories, I tried to go in there with an open mind to try and see if this Doctor was, you know, any good. And oh god, the slugs! Are you on that scene as well?
He's just said what a stench.
Yeah.
Gastric tracts.
Same. Yeah.
Rotting vegetables.
Or rotting flesh.
The gastropods. Is that it? Is that one of their poyers? Is that they fart the planet to death? Is that it?
No, I should have thought of that. Their slime trails harden like concrete only far faster.
Never mind that, just get me out.
Who is
Easier
this
said than
character?
done.
Why did he tag along with that?
That's how I gun down, I melt the stuff.
Even Colin Baker said during the Attack of the Cybermen documentary that a lot of people said that his first story was a bit crap.
They seem quite insignificant.
These gastropods.
That we shall see.
Oh
You
god.
told them why we need them.
Not in detail. So far, they've simply worked towards.
I suggest that you do tell them. They know that our purpose is benevolent. They may prove to be less intransigent.
So basically what the gastropods do is they go to these
We need another
planets,
day.
they
Very well.
strip the planets of their vegetation, I guess, and you know, leave the planets barren. You know, is that it?
What is it?
Ugh.
Why not?
It interferes with my
Where's the plot?
They may be
Yeah.
reasonable.
Oh,
The
I can't believe the actor who plays Asmil in this said, hold on, don't you think this, like, are there any better effects you can get? You know, is there any better prosthetics you can get?
The last hope for my people is.
I mean, this looks worse than this looks worse than the creatures that you had in the Web Planet with William Hartnell. They had people dressed up in bumblebee moth kind of costumes there. But that made sense. That was the early 60s. This is the late 80s.
Well, when the budget hits down, they just basically they didn't use it to their effect. They basically just, you know, copped down. They were like,
I
yeah,
don't trust you either.
They didn't even bother. They didn't even try.
they just got whatever they could find.
True, but I believe they think you are my
The
friend.
creatures in the
I
Web
value
Planet look 10 times better than that. And that came out 20 years before this.
Pay attention.
I'd rather not pay attention.
Now,
Yeah.
pay attention. That is our sun. That is Jaconda. Those are two lesser planets.
Oh, who cares?
Now, I once ruled Jaconda.
Who
Now, Mr.
cares?
His kind takes all and gives nothing. There's nothing left like.
What are we supposed to do?
Help me to provide the only possible solution.
You better tell us what it is.
We need new sources of supply. And
God.
we're going to bring those two planets into orbit around Jaconda.
Oh.
What?
Oh, yes. And then they will have the same atmospheres and climates. They will be the larders of Jaconda. Everything is in readiness. All we lack is what you two possess. That mathematical delicacy that will stabilize those two planets in their new orbit.
Really bored of it now.
Yeah.
Now, let me see.
So finally, we get what
Flight of steps up to the.
you know. We're 19 minutes into the story, and finally we get the explanation as to what happens. You know, what the plot is, what the twins are there for. This is the third part. We're near the end of the third part, and then finally we understand what they need the twins for. What terrible writing.
Colin Baker's just moaning all the fucking time.
Yeah.
Oh, fend for yourselves! Don't waste your breath, we'll manage.
God.
Everything is controlled from this panel.
What bit are you
The
on?
information you provide has been fed into the computer. You shall operate this switch.
What happens if you refuse to help?
Then I shall have to kill you.
Don't waste. Down! Down, Doctor!
You should calm down.
Calm down!
Yeah.
Think of the whole planet hanging in the balance, and each of them be free in the moment. Oh, fend for yourselves! Don't waste your breath, we'll manage.
Everything is controlled from this panel. And the information you provide has been fed into the computer. We shall operate this switch.
What happens if you refuse to help?
Then I shall have to kill you. I've already told you that this is the only way we can save my people.
I will have to kill you.
What you ask?
Look, everything has been considered. How many times must I tell you?
He's mad.
Asmael,
Next one.
We won't do it.
you'll do as I tell you.
Still bullying children, eh?
God. Still bullying children, eh?
Murderer!
Murderer! God.
More strangling. Walking, talking, strangling slugs.
Strangling Asmael now, you know.
Slugs.
Sick.
Walking, talking, strangling slugs.
However, I still would like to know why you tried to murder us.
That's the whole thing. The Doctor is a pacifist. He never uses violence.
I can't believe it.
It's completely fits his character.
That doesn't matter now. I think you better tell me what's going on here.
Ugh.
God.
Pity about you.
The Doctor is just so over the top. Still bullying children, eh? You! And then he jumps and strikes.
No! Cat thing.
No, no, no!
Or is he dead?
Oh. Not only is this one of the worst
low.
pieces of television I've ever seen, it's just one of the worst things I've ever seen in my life.
It is so fucking boring.
He does, I told him so.
You have done well, Noma.
No more than is my due.
Braggy my fucking knob.
God.
What have we here?
Husband. She must have died.
Is this the Earth girl you say you killed?
Oh, God.
God's sake.
You have not done so well after all. Where did you find
Did she
out?
steal some more vegetables?
Palace.
Alone?
There was another with her. We left him half dead.
This is a dangerous complication.
Woo!
Take him to me. At once. At once.
That's the path. Now, what is your...
You really intend to put it into operation?
You know what's funny?
You know what'll happen.
The story came after Caves of Androzani, and then the Doctor Who magazine poll a few years ago.
This is doomsday.
Caves of Androzani was voted number one. This was voted number one worst story.
Really?
Doctor, they've got Perry.
They got Perry.
Who is that guy?
Stop it! Leave me, I must go to her and tell my story.
Yeah, they never explain who he is. He's just part of this Earth police force or some kind of space police force.
Okay.
God.
Harry!
Harry! Oh, it's so bad. That was the worst part so far.
Oh yeah, that was worse than part 1 and 2. Oh, God's sake. One more to go.
Fucking awful.
It's a little bit quicker than I remember, but it's not saying much.
Just abysmal. 3 parts, and only towards the end of the 3rd part do we find out what the plot is, you know.
Well, and it isn't even much of a plot.
Yeah, it's just, yeah, put these planets in orbit around this planet so we can make the planet stable. Oh, I mean, wow, just... what a brilliant plot.
Fucking slugs! Fucking slugs! What the fuck? Oh.
The gastropods are basically slugs.
I don't care what they're called. They're fucking slugs. They're slugs.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, the end of part 3.
Oh,
dear.
Thankfully, 1 part left to go.
Yeah, the final part. The final part. God save us.
Disconsolate.
Oh, I mean, the whole story's been such a drag.
The dialogue is awful, the script is awful, the direction is awful, the production design is fucking awful, the story is awful, you know, the acting is awful. It is a creative mess.
Yeah.
Like, the only good thing is the title sequence.
And the music.
Well, I wouldn't say the score is any good, really.
Well, the theme tune. Yeah,
the theme tune. The incidental music is rubbish, but the theme tune is good. And the credits.
By this time, I think John Nathan Turner got rid of the BBC Radiophonic Workshop, and oh god,
bad move.
Yeah, I think it was either this or the next season where he got rid of it. But oh god.
Well, we've come this far.
I'm just gonna finish off my popcorn here.
Yeah, and then we will continue, darling.
Oh god. So far, it's a 0 out of 10 from me.
Yeah. You're not going to take it down to -1 million.
I might actually. I don't. Actually, probably, yeah. Oh.
I mean,
maybe even lower. Maybe even lower.
-2 million.
-1 billion.
It is just a mess.
God.
My rating still stands at a 0 out of 10. It is so bad. I mean, I have to say, in comparison to probably Let's Kill Hitler, this is probably worse.
Yeah.
I mean, Let's Kill Hitler is really, really bad, no question.
Yeah.
It's fucking awful. But the main reason why I prefer it is only because the Doctor is more like...
Matt Smith.
Yeah, Matt Smith as the Doctor. The rest of it was a train wreck. The whole, you know, I named my daughter after my daughter, River Song's character there, and Hitler was thrown in the cupboard. I mean, this is worse, though, because of the fucking slugs. And, you know, the story, everything just falls apart. Like, this is the worst introduction to a Doctor ever.
Yeah. I know. I would say this and Time of the Rani are the 2 worst regeneration stories. The 2 worst first stories for a Doctor ever made. I mean, if you ever watch Time the Rani, prepare yourself, because that is absolutely terrible as well. I mean, Sylvester McCoy is awful in that, because, you know, it's funny, McCoy is awful in that story, but throughout the rest of the series and after that, he's actually pretty good. But, I don't know. I mean, JNT, he didn't know what he was doing. He cast Colin Baker during a garden party, and he cast McCoy, who was a children's entertainer. You know, I mean, you could really tell the quality just slipped with him. I mean, from the beginning of the 1980s with The Leisure Hive, you know, that's such a terrible story. It's really boring. That's another bore fest. And, you know, the only thing that saves that is Tom Baker. But even then, his performance isn't that great because he's pissed off of all the changes that JNT brought in. And, you know, I'm not surprised it was cancelled in 1989. I mean, it was getting better towards the end, but even then, it couldn't save the show because of this story and the other crap fest we had during the 80s.
I think the ratings were really bad, weren't they?
Yeah, I mean, Peter Moffat, I think he directed a few stories in the Tom Baker. He actually directed the first story of the 80s, The Leisure Hive. I mean, for me, after, you know, season 17, that is where the show really just got horrendous. I mean, I'm not going to deny there are a few, you know, the season 17 does have a few shit stories in it, but you still had some good stories like City of Death, which is great. And
so you have a few guilty pleasures.
Well, no, I wouldn't. Well, I mean, season 17, I do have. No, season 17, City of Death. I don't think anyone denies that's a good story. It's not a guilty pleasure, but Destiny of the Daleks, I guess I could say, is a bit of a guilty pleasure. I mean, I don't think it's as bad as everyone says, but.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was all right.
Yeah, actually, I think Destiny of the Daleks is a pretty good story. I know that's controversial. Some people don't like it, but I think Destiny of the Daleks is a pretty good story. And I think season 17, even though it wasn't amazing, it was much better than the next series because it had a lot of humor in it. It had humor that was good. It had Tom Baker, who was great. It had Lala Wars from Man. And then when you get JNT becoming a showrunner in the 80s, you have The Leisure Hive and season 18, which are just terrible. And, you know, I love Tom Baker. He's my favorite Doctor, but his last series is awful, and his regeneration story is awful. And then you get to Peter Davison, and you get a few good stories like Earthshock, but then you get a few crap ones like Time Flight, which is horrendous. And it just kind of, it's sad because...
have you seen The King's Demons?
The King's Demons, I think so, yeah.
Yeah, it's the one where the Master comes back. He has.
Oh yeah, and it has Chameleon. Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, Chameleon. I thought it was okay. Planet of Fire was a bit better.
No, yeah, King's Demons isn't great, but Planet of Spiders is good. I just think, you know, when you come to the 80s, that's where Doctor Who dies for me, anyway. I mean, it doesn't die. I mean,
he doesn't. He regenerates.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't die for me completely because there's still good stories in the 80s, like Case of Anzani, Earthshock, Survival,
isn't it?
Yeah, it's more scattered. I mean, yeah, I mean, you know, there isn't really a standout season of the 80s apart from the last series with Sylvester McCoy, which has pretty much every story's good in that. But
yeah, I mean, how many seasons did he do? 2?
He did 3. On season 24, oh god, that's even worse than season 22. Colin Baker's first. There's every story in that season is bad. Every story is terrible. I like Dragonfire because Ace is in it. It's a bit of a guilty pleasure, but pretty much every story from McCoy's first season is awful. And then you get season 25 where you have Happiness Patrol, the Candyman. Oh god. You know, it's like a Bertie Bassett, and then you have Happiness Patrol. You have Remembrance of the Daleks, which is a pretty good story.
Yeah, I saw that. That's the only one I've seen of Sylvester McCoy, and it was pretty good.
Silver Nemesis is shit. What else? Greatest Show in the Galaxy is good. So about season 25, half of it's good, half of it's bad. And then season 26, Battlefield Survival, Ghostlight, Curse of Fenric, they're all good. So, yeah, I mean, but, you know, season 22 to season 24 in particular, and part of season 25, just really awful stuff. But, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's continue part 4.
Yeah. Is there any way to get like a full episode list of the entire Doctor Who episode guide? Like,
yeah, there is. It's online. I'll get it for you.
Oh yeah, cheers. It's just so I'm obviously going to try and expand my collection of the classic era.
Yeah.
I'm up to date with the new era. I've only got a few classic stories, so I don't know if you can get any of them in box sets. I know you can get Trial of a Time Lord in the box set.
Yeah, you can get that in the box set.
I've got the beginning box set, So, but obviously the individual ones, they cost about £6 or something.
Yeah.
Pay for them.
I wouldn't start with the. I wouldn't watch Trial Time Lord. It's not that great. I've got the box set, and I kind of regretted buying it. It was £20, but Trial Time Lord's a whole season. I suppose, yeah, you should buy it if you want to expand your collection, but don't be.
Well, yeah, I mean, for completion's sake, I suppose it'd be worth it.
Yeah, if you type in Doctor Who, there's a Doctor Who classic series site, and they give you all the episodes on there. They go to episode guide. The site, unfortunately, they've closed down. Well, they haven't closed it down, but they don't update it anymore.
Yeah. Classic series episode guide.
I would say if you want to.
Oh, sorry. The BBC. Yeah, well, it's an old BBC page, which has an episode guide for each of them, all of the classic Doctors, including the 8th Doctor as well, which is really, which is the one movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'll try my best to get all of them at some point, and then probably watch them all in order and review them. Because
watch all the stories in order.
Yeah, well, eventually when I get them.
The one thing I will say about that is,
obviously some of them you can't get because they're not found.
Yeah, I will say that. You've got the First Doctor and Second Doctor era, which are like the first couple of seasons are pretty much complete, apart from there's one serial missing. I think it's one story missing from the first season and 2 from the second. Season 3. Quite a few of that is missing, and Triton's first season, there's pretty much nothing from his first season that survives, but they have animated Power of the Daleks, and they've animated the Moon Base, and they've released the Underwater Menace, so there's about 3 stories from his first season.
Yeah. No, that's all right.
I would say if you want to start off collecting them, maybe start with the Pertwee era and work your way through there, and then go back to the first 2, or...
Yeah, I mean, I have got a few of. I've got a few of the first 2. I've only got like 2 of Pertwee's, so I might collect more of his. Anyway, let's continue, shall we? The 4th and final part.
Yeah, we've been talking long enough. And
you ready?
Yep.
3, 2, 1, play.
Yeah, the title sequence again.
Oh, is yours not playing?
Oh, it's playing now, yeah. Oh, God.
Colin Baker.
Yeah.
Well, the story's nearly over.
Yeah.
This story is a cancerous piece.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah, by Anthony Stephen. Great job, buddy. Great job. What?
Doctor, you've got Perry.
Got Perry.
Perry?
Killer, stop him! Leave me, I must go to her and tell Mestor everything and condemn my plan to certain death.
I must help her.
No, Doctor,
God.
if necessary, she must die.
He must die.
Perry!
Why don't you kill her?
I have to say the cliffhangers for all 4 parts are terrible. I mean, part 4 doesn't have a cliffhanger, but the 3 cliffhangers so far are terrible cliffhangers.
Why would you be scared of a fucking slug?
Yeah.
Just terrible.
I sense danger.
Danger! Danger! I felt it.
Rage! How is it? Superficial damage, you'll be all right.
Wasn't so late.
He's the one. But no, he is a friend. He will save us from Lord Mestor. Lord Mestor is our friend. He is our enemy.
He is our enemy. God. Lord Mestor, the fucking slug.
Yes,
Now, finally, in the 4th part, he encounters the villain.
Harry, you're alive.
Oh, please release him!
Have the fool wreck a scientific project of vast consequence.
Well, it's debatable who the fool is. If you intend to blow up this corner of the universe.
Challenging my calculations.
Not at all. In fact, if I can hold my mind together, I might even be able to help you.
What can you offer me?
Moving planets around is not for amateurs, you know. I mean, twins may have the mathematical skill, but I have the empirical knowledge, the practical experience that can guarantee success. I mean, one tiny error in your calculations, the planets you're trying to shift could fly off in any direction.
God.
You are telling the truth, Time Lord.
You should know.
What are the
I
truth,
can
Time
sense
Lord?
justice in my mind.
God.
And why do you resist me?
I'm secretive by nature. Besides, if you were to learn everything too quickly, you'd have no reason to keep me alive.
He's playing with us, Master. Asmail has often spoken of this time. He's not to be trusted.
Never argue with me again.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Could you speak up, please?
You are rather hot-tempered.
We would work much more effectively if we had them.
What?
Jesus Christ.
It's very
Do you think
disconcerting.
Colin
to have a
Baker
nice
was
voice in the middle
watching
of
this
one's
and
mind.
thinking, wow, this is a really great monster?
And I
I
thought,
don't know what he must have been thinking when he was acting for this.
Yeah.
Give me your right hand.
He you know what he was probably thinking? I'm going to perform for the audience!
Now yours.
Be
I want to show off my dragging mother.
God.
Well,
I'm going to boom my voice across.
Good.
Oh, so they've lost their fairy
Back to work.
rings.
You took a heavy blow.
To be fair, there are a few stories from the Colin Baker era that I can tolerate, but none of them are great. There's not really a Colin Baker story that he stars in that is really amazingly good.
Can't work
They
like
just
this.
range from
There are too many
complete crap to
interruptions.
good at the best.
Yeah, what's it like?
then we won't do our best.
And how do you think the Lord Nestor would feel about that?
They might show us that great.
Oh, Nestor!
You know, the one with the green ray?
Embolism, isn't it? Let me tell you, little tiny bubbles go very well in champagne and purgatives, no marks.
What? Little tiny bubbles go great in champagne.
You too, though.
What is this script?
Especially you.
Don't seem very popular. You've got bowel test.
Have you got a
Stop
boil?
with this
Did you say you've got a boil test?
All of you.
Childish threats are best left to children. Now go away. We have a lot of work to do.
Go!
What do you know of this doctor?
Only what Asmail.
He's supposed to be a man of great cunning.
He's also egocentric, willful, and
Yes,
quite
Terry.
mad.
The
Mark
gates
my
being
words,
Flames,
David.
plugs.
I take great delight in examining this doctor.
He's like Jabba the Hutt's grandma.
Find the time.
Yeah, he's Jabba the Hutt's, you know, messed up brother.
I think it might even be his grandmother.
Yeah. It's like, did they see Star Wars and think, you know what we need? We need Jabba the Hutt as the villain.
Jabba the
Nestor
Hutt.
would have to bring the other
Yeah.
two planets to the same orbit as Jupiter.
Attractive.
Oh.
Do you have enough power for such a thing? Oh, yes.
Well, how destabilized you call it?
Betty!
Planets in the same orbit will exert enormous gravitational pressure on each other.
By placing them in different time zones. So each planet will occupy
Boring,
the same
boring,
space.
boring. Get
There will
to
be
the
one
plot
secondary
already.
ahead of the other.
Very neat.
God.
Ow!
Thanks to me.
The plot is just, who gives a shit? The gastropods want to colonize these planets. Who cares?
What?
Are you all right?
Of course I'm all right. I'm certainly all right. It's the situation that's all wrong.
No, you're not all right.
In what way is it wrong?
Both the outer planets are smaller than Jaconda.
That's obvious.
Well, so is the consequence if they're brought any nearer the Jacondan sun.
Right. Why didn't I realize?
Your mind was on other things, my friend.
Overlooked something so simple.
What are you two talking about?
A matter of simple physics. The gravitational pull of the sun on Jaconda is more or less consistent, yes?
I'll take it.
The outer planets are smaller. Place them where Jaconda is, How long do you think they'll last?
No time at all. They're all rapidly
can't believe
decay
there was
and they
actually a
crash
guy
into the sun.
that said this story was really good.
Explosion.
God.
Wondrous to
The
see.
Case of Androzani was a really good story.
Does Mr.
I mean, it's a bit overrated. Some people say it's one of the best stories ever. I mean, I wouldn't go like as far as saying it's, you know, in the top 10. I mean, it's the best of the 80s for sure. It's definitely the best Doctor Who story of the 1980s.
Would you say it's the best of Davison's era?
Yeah, of Davison's era and the 1980s, I will say. It's the best of that, but I wouldn't say it's the greatest ever. I mean, I think the stuff from the 70s and some of the stuff from the 60s, the stories you get there, like Deadly Assassin, The Demons, The Three Doctors, you know, Genesis of the Daleks, The Talons of Wing Chiang, you know, the Daleks, the Dalek invasion of Earth. You know, those are like probably some of the best Doctor Who stories as well. And
yeah,
you know,
Not himself.
Then whoever.
Wish you wouldn't keep wandering off like that.
See it more as a mental stroll in a park of psychic tranquility.
What do we do next? The twins have finished their calculation.
Oh, very good. Excellent. 10 out of 10. Alpha plus.
the twins are finished with their calculations.
oh, it's about fucking time.
Doctor, we're wasting
And those
time.
eggs are just so
Is it possible to
obviously
get into the
painted containers.
I sense the answer is in there. Asbel?
Oh, look, please be quick.
Of course.
You know, finally in part 4 they're getting to the plot, but by this point it's already too late.
Yeah.
And it's still a fucking bore ride.
And the answer must be in here somewhere.
I mean, the plot, there isn't even much of a plot.
Westall hasn't gone to all this trouble.
Yeah.
Egg. Slug. But where's the mutant?
Yeah, I mean, oh god, I mean, it's just so obvious that isn't a real egg.
Look, please, the young one in.
The slug eggs.
Of course, these
God.
eggs are... Let's see what's inside.
Fucking gastropods, you know.
So I must have
One
a
of
look.
their, you know, one of their
It's worrying you, Doctor.
like things is to leave a foul stench, like a big fart or something like that. God.
I mean, goodness me.
God. Yeah. And this human character, he's still just,
Scratch the surface.
you know, I know he was sent to find the
Tough, how did
twins,
he know
but
where
he
he
just adds nothing.
It's reacted to the heat related.
Point of him.
Precisely what it's supposed to do. Only it isn't anything like hot enough yet.
Doctor, you're talking in riddles.
No, he isn't, and I fear he might be right.
Are these all the eggs?
No, they're all through there.
So many.
Oh, any. Oh, it all begins to make sense.
Not to me.
Oh,
Still haven't explained why the eggs are so tough.
They were designed to withstand the temperatures of an exploding sun.
Nonsense.
I wish it were.
Well, Mestor's colonization is not of this planet, but the universe.
The exploding Jacondan sun would scatter the eggs, and nowhere would be safe from invasion.
We've made that possible. Our genius has been abused.
our genius has been abused.
It's so simple, it's mind-boggling. Of course it could work.
Now you know everything, Time Lord.
Right, what we need is a plan of
Now
action.
you know
use the bottle
everything,
gun, take
you know,
Perry the
say,
twins back to the
fuck
safety of
off.
the
No,
TARDIS.
and the guards must still be outside.
Then deal with them. You are supposed to be an interplanetary pursuit officer.
Pursuit officer?
Deal with Mestor.
Are we capable? I mean, look at us, Doctor. I'm old. I've even used up my ability to regenerate. And you, well, your mind could cloud at any moment.
I am fully alert and ready for action.
Mestor
God.
will destroy us, you know.
So,
I am
Better
fully
be
alert
dying
and
hard
ready
and
for
fighting
action.
against the odds than die in fear. In our own shadows.
What do we do about our calculations?
You carry them in your head.
I really am so
Destroy all the
bored.
That's simple.
it's
Even Die Another Day is more entertaining than this crap.
this is a chore to sit through.
Yeah.
It's done.
This is like, you know, the Leisure Hive's a bore fest, but this is even worse.
Right?
You know what the dilemma is? It's everything.
Yeah, the dilemma is, yeah, the whole story and everything in it.
Mestor!
It's
monitor.
slowly.
He must know everything that's been said in this room.
There's no time to waste. Check the corridor.
Oh. He's gonna use this acid thing on the slug.
I thought you said use his arse.
Yeah. He gets out his arse and scares the slug to death.
So the slug ain't gonna probe him, is he?
Yeah. The gastropods.
Nice
Yeah, they're just bloody slugs.
Here again. I'm sure you will, friend.
God.
No, ma'am.
Did he just say your
Yes,
mum?
master.
Find the twins and bring them to me.
God.
Yes, master.
They must not be harmed.
Oh,
And the others?
Kill them.
kill them. God save us.
I want to fucking kill myself.
This is ridiculous. How come we got lost? There's only one passageway.
Well, apparently not.
Apparently not.
Well, let's try along here.
Apparently, yeah, God.
Ah,
And one thing I will
Hey,
say, I mean, Nicola Bryant
I've
is
been looking
good to
for
look
you.
at.
I've worked out what
Yeah.
you're up to.
That's the only good thing
And
to
it's
look
got
at
to
this story.
stop.
Yeah.
Control your arrogance,
Oh, yeah.
Time Lord.
I'm not having your
He's gonna
slutty
kill the
eggs spread
slug.
all over the universe, causing havoc.
What a stupid ending
Nor
as
will I
well.
allow you
Like,
to
it's all
destroy
built up to
once
nothing.
a very beautiful planet.
Like
You really are mad.
just take these slugs
You dare
out.
to threaten me in my own throne room.
Did I threaten?
God.
Did you hear me threatening?
Watch it, Mister!
Watch it, Mister!
Please, Doctor.
You'll do well to warn him.
I'm the one who's doing the warning.
Oh, shut
How
up!
do you give up this
Yeah.
nonsense?
No,
I mean,
Time
how
Lord.
is it so easy to just kill these
Then
slugs?
take the consequence.
God.
All the slug does is fucking sit there in his throne.
You think that I would be so vulnerable to an interfering fool?
No.
I mean, did the BBC or John Nathan Turner or Peter Moffat, who directed that episode, did they not think,
This time is right.
you can't hear the guy,
Yeah, you can't
Yeah.
understand
No,
the word he
you want
said.
us alive. Best needs our calculations.
For sure, luck. Down! Kill him!
Everybody like dying or getting hit in this story just overreacts so much.
You might just reach that gun before I can kill you. But I doubt it.
But I doubt it, God, where did he get the actors for this?
Indigestion. Or is it bad news?
It does not concern you.
Perhaps your plan to recapture the twins has failed.
A small setback, Time Lord.
Oh,
Be careful of Lieutenant Lang. He's been dying to kill someone ever since he got here. After all,
yeah, probably
he'll
you.
destroy his entire squadron. Earthlings have an unquenchable thirst when it comes to revenge.
Be silent.
Colin Baker's doctor, the sixth doctor's the only doctor. You see him on screen, you just can't stand him,
Oh, before we come
Because
to
he's so
that,
over the top, he's so
embolism
dramatic,
times.
he's so
Don't tell me.
egotistical, he's just so
my
out of
blood will
character for
bubble
the
like a
doctor.
raging stream.
Like I said, with
I will bet
with
die,
Hartnell, he was
and
grumpy
in
and
so
crotchety at
doing, I
the
will
start
break
because
your
he had
indulgence
just
with
arrived on
forgiveness.
Earth and he just, he just sort of gotten used to humans
Because
by
in
the
my
time he and
time, I
Barbara
have been
came in.
threatened by
But the sixth doctor,
I don't
with the
rate you
second
very highly
doctor,
at all.
at the end of the first Doctor's era, he had mellowed out, and and then in the second Doctor,
Please, Lord,
he was
Mister.
good with his companions, the third and the fourth and the fifth, and then you get to the sixth, and it's like a backward
I don't
step.
blame you.
It's like we progressed from this.
Well, we're supposed to have anyway.
Yeah.
You take over my mind? It would be like throwing a pebble into a lake. It will sink without trace. But he can do it. But your condom mind, maybe, but I am a Time Lord.
I am a Time Lord. Yeah, we know.
Indeed.
No.
Mayo is now my slave.
Oh, that's not fair. He's an old man.
Fucking hell.
I could not do this to you.
Well, why don't you try?
Simplicity
The
itself.
acting and the lip sync is just so off.
He's trying to control too much. All your conduct is affected by
He's
his
trying to
law.
control his mind, but
Help me,
the
doctor.
actor doing the lip syncing is just so bad.
We must mind link. Together we can destroy him.
Together we can destroy him.
No. Otherwise he will pass to you and you will be lost.
I can contain him.
Quickly.
When you know the mind link they
Destroy
have
his
with 3
body.
doctors between the first, the
Otherwise
second, and the
he
third.
returns.
Yeah. Oh God.
Is that it?
Yeah.
That's how this story is resolved. Brilliant.
Now we must mind link.
No.
No.
What is happening?
You're lost, mister.
What are you doing?
Oh
The one
God.
thing you cannot control. I am dying. I am regenerated.
You can't.
Such
You've used up your allotted number of lives.
You think I do not know that,
so
How-
terrible.
He is exercised, my friend.
Did you say please exercise, my friend?
What the?
What's happening?
Oh, why did you do it?
I had no other choice.
You should have left him to me.
Afraid you were too unstable. He would have swamped you.
They're trying to make this scene emotional, but there is no emotion here.
His leg.
Like,
There
why did he
is
even pay him
no
in the
emotion.
first place? You know, I mean, I know he has this mind control, but
So much to give. You were the finest teacher I ever had.
I thought Barusa was the finest teacher he ever had. Doctor, not this guy who, you know, never even heard of before this story. God.
I didn't know.
Oh, for God's sake.
Many great moments.
He's dying, but he still looks pretty much alive to me. He doesn't look like he's dying. You know, God.
When they all fucking die.
Yeah, this is. Ugh.
So bad.
It's not even emotional because the whole story has just been them farting about doing nothing. And
I think that's the thing. You just don't care about anything that's going on.
yeah,
I still can't even work out what the plot actually is. Apart
yeah.
from a few basic strands. It's
I
like
don't want to worry you, but the TARDIS
so,
goes on.
the slugs. What?
No, I've got to find
Yeah.
the doctor.
All right, but be careful.
Look after him, will you? Yes. Good luck.
Yeah, I don't know either because they never even fully state what they want the slugs to do.
Outside.
They never even fully explain what the gastropods want with the planet. Oh God. He's like, outside, you know, you be naughty. Oh.
Listen, young sir, this planet's finished. There's no future here.
Shut up.
But you don't understand. Here we have a fine craft to take us away from here. Far away.
I said shut up.
Yeah, yeah. He sounds like the doctor now. I said, shut up.
Sorry about that.
Oh,
Don't
God.
ever do that again.
Of course not.
Of course not.
I look otherwise.
But we must get away from here.
He can't fly the TARDIS, but we could learn.
I'll take you all.
I'll take you all.
You're a true gentleman, sir. Wait a minute, I remember you. You're the Chamberlain. Yes, that's right, sir. I don't like you. But,
I
sir,
like you.
I must
Oh,
get
what
away from
great,
here. And I
what
suggest you
great
stop.
dialogue. Oh, you're the Chamberlain.
Right.
I like
You're
you.
the twins back to Earth.
God.
What about the rest of the people on this planet?
They'll survive. We'll leave them. Well, certainly not that thing.
Oh God.
Neither will
Doctor doesn't even care. What about the rest of the people on this planet? They'll survive. You know, it's fine. Who cares?
Capable of looking after themselves.
The fucking dictator.
Already started mopping up.
I'd rather stay. I think I could be some use here.
As you wish.
Oh.
Although, I think you're mad.
Oh, the
I
doctor.
think to go back to Earth for. I've no one there.
That I can believe.
Oh God.
I'm sorry about that. He never used to be so rude. Can we stay?
Oh,
No, fuck off.
It was nice to have met you. However strange the circumstances.
Oh God.
Good luck.
Thanks.
It was nice to have met you, even though, you know.
Please take me.
God,
They'll kill me if I stay here.
No, they won't.
Oh God.
Oi.
They'll kill me if they stay here. He's like, oi, move.
Did you have to be so rude?
Mom!
Hugo, you could at least have said goodbye.
Oh,
Are you
God.
having another of your fits?
you may not believe this, but I have fully stabilized.
Then I suggest
Oh,
you take
yeah,
a crash
right.
course in manners.
You seem to forget, Perry. I'm not only from another culture, but another planet. I
Yeah.
am, in your terms, an alien.
Yeah, even though the Doctor is an alien, he still wasn't this much of a dick. Even William Hartnell's Doctor, I mean,
At such a cost. I
you
was
know,
on the
William
verge of becoming
Hartnell in
neurotic.
the
all
first
have
story,
to
he did
repress
try
our
to
feelings
kill a
from time to
caveman,
time.
but he realized his
suggest you get
mistake,
back into the habit.
and the
And I would
Doctor,
suggest,
he
Perry, that you
matured.
wait
He,
a little before
you know,
criticizing my
his
new
Doctor
persona.
became,
You may well find it isn't quite as disagreeable as you think.
oh yes it is.
Well, I hope so.
Whatever else happens, I am
Oh God.
the Doctor.
Whether you like it or
Like
not.
it or not.
Well fucking done.
Just abysmal.
You know what? Fuck you guys. Whoever made this, fuck off. Terrible.
Oh God's sake.
That was it.
Yeah.
There was no plot.
Oh. What a fucking disgrace of a story. And what a terrible way to end it. I am the Doctor, whether you like it or not. And then she smiles at him.
Yeah, that's
Why
the
would you
problem.
smile at him after all the shit he's done?
He fucking strangled her as well.
Yeah. Oh my God. Anthony Stephen, you know, what the hell did you write here? Oh.
This is probably... Is this your least favourite story?
Either this or Time in the Rani. Maybe Time in the Rani, because that is just even... That's even more abysmal than this, I think.
Really?
Yeah. I can't stand Time in the Rani. Or they might be on par though, but I would say Sylvester McCoy in that story is worse than Colin Baker in this story.
Oh God.
But I do like Sylvester McCoy's Doctor. After his first story, he becomes a lot better. But after Colin's first story, he doesn't really improve at all, to be honest.
And
You
it
know.
shows.
Yeah, it does. It really does. Oh.
I am the Doctor, whether you like it or not.
Yeah, Colin. Yeah, Colin, we don't like it. We don't like it, you know. I mean, he's the only Doctor to be fired from the series. I can see why. I mean,
I don't doubt his talents as an actor, but I just think he was probably miscast.
yeah, I think he was miscast. I mean, he is good in other stuff like The Brothers and Blake 7, but as the Doctor, just no. I mean, you know, I just think casting Colin Baker as the Doctor was a completely wrong move. I mean, casting Peter Davison as the Doctor wasn't, you know, I mean, you know, Peter Davison, even though he wasn't as good as Tom Baker, at least he could act, unlike Colin here. I mean, I'm told he's better in the audios, and I've listened to some of the audios, but I don't really believe it. I mean, I think this was the beginning of the end for Doctor Who, as Russell T Davies said. I mean, it's just, I mean, you watch the case of Androzani, and that was such a great story. That, you know, it has a great villain. The Doctor, you know, you could see the peril in the Doctor, the fact that, you know, his companion is dying, and they're both dying of spectrox toxemia, which is this like disease, and they're both dying of it, and they need a cure, but he can only cure her. And you know, you see the peril in his face, and you see the danger he goes through, and then you have the end of the story, and you have Colin Baker saying, you know, change, my dear, I'm not a moment too soon. And then the next story, as soon as he says that, he basically just disses the Fifth Doctor. He says, you know, oh, my last incarnation, oh, I never liked that one. Sort of had a feckless charm, which simply wasn't me. You know, I mean, he just saved the, you know, Perry's life, you know, and you're just dissing him like that. It's just like, oh my God, you know. And, you know, straight off, as soon as the story begins, he's, you know, he's like, oh, a noble brow, you know, this might be my best incarnation. You know, it's like, this is my best incarnation yet. I mean, he's just such an ego, and he's so full of himself as the Doctor, you know. He just, I mean, every scene that he's in is just, you know, you're just cringing because Colin Baker is so over the top. The script is so bad. The acting is abysmal. The score is abysmal. The sets are abysmal. And, you know, and for a first story, you know, it's just, it is such a drag to sit through. You know, I mean, this should, you know, with a new Doctor, you should establish, you know, a new era, or at least a new feel to what the new Doctor's going to be like. And you know, and you give us this terrible script. You know, the first 3 parts, and even part 4, go fucking nowhere. It slugs along. It drags itself along. You've got, you know, Perry as well, Nicola Bryant. You know, I mean, even she is terrible, and it's just everything about it. And you know, the outfit, and then him strangling Perry. And you know, I know he has post-traumatic stress because of the regeneration, but the Doctor should never do that. And
yeah, that is way out of character. No matter what incarnation it is, it's, you know, it's way out of character.
And not only that, but it's so out of character as well, the fact that he strangles her, and then he acts as though nothing happens, and then he wants to become a hermit, and then he's cowering behind her, and he's calling her, and he's saying, like, you would have left him to die, and stop teaching me about compassion. I mean, this is not the Doctor. And I know the story is trying to say he's going through this post-traumatic stuff, the regeneration, but even this is just way too far. I mean, it's just, oh my God. Oh,
it is really, really bad.
Yeah, and Colin Baker, I'm sorry, for me, he is the worst Doctor. He is the worst. I mean, I know some people even think, I know there's some people who say David Tennant's the worst, like, who are big classic fans who don't like David Tennant, and other people who think maybe Sylvester McCoy's the worst. But Colin Baker, for me, just, he is so awful. The script is awful, and I'm not blaming everything on him, because you can't blame him for the script, but I just think his acting is over the top, and he was definitely miscast. He was miscast in the role, and I just think that this story sort of sets the bar for the rest of the stuff you're going to get in his 2 seasons, and the way it does set the bar is shocking, really, because you have season 23, you have stories such as Mark of the Rani, which is probably one of the better of the story, but you have other stories like Attack of the Cybermen, which isn't very good. You have the two Doctors where Troughton returns, which is only good because Troughton's in it. And the rest of the season, I mean, not only this, but my whole problem with Colin Baker's first season is that it's so violent as well. The Doctor is so out of character. There's this in the story Vengeance and Varos, there's a scene where these two characters, he's wrestling with this character, and like the guy falls into the acid bath, and the Doctor after that says, "Forgive me if I don't don't join you. You know, that's a Bond line. A doctor shouldn't say that. You know, the doctor should be horrified. He shouldn't, you know, he shouldn't be saying a Bond one-liner. You know, the doctor is not a killer. And you have another scene as well in The Two Doctors where there's this character called Shock Eye, and he's running after Perry because he's trying to kill Perry. But the doctor gets cyanide and kills him. He gets cyanide on a piece of cotton wool and he kills him. I mean, the doctor in this series and the Sixth Doctor in general, he's just so out of character. He's egotistical. He's over the top. He's just a dick as well because he's just so arrogant. And my problem with this story and the Sixth Doctor in general is that, you know, this is not the Doctor. You know, the first Doctor, yes, at the beginning, he was grumpy, he was crotchety, he didn't trust humans because it's the first time he went time traveling. But as the story, as you know, in the first story, I think you remember when he gets the rock and he tries to kill the caveman, but Ian says, you know, what are you doing? And then the Doctor realizes what he, you know, the Doctor, you know, he soon realizes what he did was wrong, and he progresses as a character. And even though there are violent moments with the other Doctors, like the Doctor snaps a guy's neck in Seeds of Doom, he doesn't kill them. He doesn't intentionally kill anybody.
I mean, even in John Pertwee, who is more sort of the action fighting Doctor,
yeah,
he never killed, or at least not that I can remember.
Well, in Dead of the Daleks, he did shoot an Ogron, but the Ogron was about to kill him anyway. The Ogron was about to, you know, the Ogron could have killed him. But, you know, but, you know, with Colin Baker's Doctor, it's just, I mean, like I said, Hartnell was going to kill the caveman, but he didn't. He realized the error of his ways, and his Doctor grew as a character. He began to trust his companions, particularly in Edge of Destruction. You see, you know, he doesn't trust his companions, but then he begins to trust them. And after that story, they're like a family. And then, you know, you get the other companions. Then you get Patrick Troughton, who has his companions, and he's very much like an uncle. He's kind of like an uncle to them, like Hartnell's with the grandfather, and he's sort of like the uncle to them, and he's there. And then you have Pertwee, who's, you know, he's a bit more grumpy because he's been exiled to Earth and he can't leave Earth. So you see his Doctor is a bit grumpy and crotchety, but he still, you know, he still loves his companions. He looks after them, and he doesn't really intentionally kill anyone apart from that one Ogron because he's going to kill him. But the Doctor with the Sixth Doctor, and like the scene with Tom Baker and Peter Davison, but like with the Sixth Doctor, it's just like they took the Doctor in a completely wrong direction. You know, he kills, you know, that guy falls. You know, he kills that guy by pushing him into the acid bath. He doesn't push him in. The guy accidentally falls in, but then he kills Shock Eye with the cyanide, and you know, and that whole season as well is so violent because, you know, there's so much violence in that series, and like they eat a rat. Like one of the characters, Shock Eye, is eating a rat for some reason. You don't see him actually eat the rat, but you see him like, well, you kind of do, but it's not like a real rat. And then you know, I mean, his Doctor is just so out of character. He's so egotistical. And like I said, you know, with Hartnell, it worked because the Doctor had, you know, because it was he was the first incarnation. He just met humans, but he mellowed out. And by the time he came to the Sixth Doctor, you know, the Doctor had matured as a character. This is just a whole backward step, you know. And the Doctor, you know, he's egotistical. He's constantly being nasty to Perry's companion. And, you know, just some of the stories you get in this season as well, like Time Lash might be even worse or just as bad as this story. You know, you have a few ones that are tolerable, like Attack of the Cybermen is, you know, it's not a great story, but it is kind of...
So it's like, okay.
Yeah, like sometimes you watch it, it's like, sometimes you watch it and you think it's good, and sometimes it's, yeah, I mean, it's okay. You have The Two Doctors, which has a son Torrance return and Patrick Troughton in it. And that story, again, you know, like I said, way too violent. You know, you have this character in it who likes to eat humans, like because he's an alien, but he wants to eat humans. And you have, you know, and that story, you know, it's good because Troughton's in it. I mean, Troughton comes back and he's good. But yeah, again, not a great story. I mean, there's so many stories from his first season that are just really not that great at all. Like, I mean, there's not, I mean, I mean, Revelation of the Daleks might be his best story from his first season, but even then, that has problems like people getting killed and stuff like that. And I mean, it just really sets the tone for his Doctor and the next two series. And I mean, his relationship with Perry does become better in the next season, but even then, he's still a dick. And by the time of McCoy, I'm glad that his Doctor is gone. And and I can honestly, I mean, I know there are people out there who defend Colin Baker, but I can see why the BBC dropped him, because his acting and the stories and the script, I mean, it's just, I think, after that with Sylvester McCoy, people say he was miscast, and maybe he was as well. But I think what worked with McCoy's Doctor was that even though his Doctor could be dark and manipulating, he doesn't intentionally kill anyone or his companions. I mean, and in this story as well, a Doctor, like in Attack of the Cybermen, he gets a gun and he starts shooting the Cybermen down, and but I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, and the story itself just pants,
Oh dear. Oh wow. At least
the
Doctors do way better.
Yeah, I mean, what's your sort of opinion on the story?
Well, I haven't really seen much of his era. I've only seen about 3 stories of his era. This one being the first. I don't really think he was right for the role, but I appreciate what he tried to do. He tried to make it his own after the 5 previous versions.
Yeah.
So he did have a hard job, so I am considerate to that. But it just feels like all the actors read the scripts and just went, "What's happening? This show has gone completely down to the hilt." So they just thought, "Fuck it." So I don't know whether he had a general desire to actually do the show, or whether he was just doing it because he was asked.
I think he did have a desire to do it, but I mean, I understand that Colin Baker, he did, he was sort of, you had 5 actors before him, so I understand he's the 6th incarnation, and you want to change it up, but I think his attitude towards the show, and he wanted to be the long running of the Doctors as well, which, I mean, in Colin Baker in general, I don't really like his attitude towards.
Yeah, I think the thing is, this is sort of in regards to. I mean, this obviously comes through in his performance as well. There's a lot of him in there, like his ear is very present. I don't think he's like that anymore. I think he's changed since he's got older, but. Back in those days, I think he obviously had a bit of an ego about him. He thought, if I do this, I'm going to be amazing. Me. So
yeah, I think he's showing off a lot in the story, and he's overacting, and
none of the directors or production team are holding him back. So I mean, I don't really know how I can answer your question, really, but
no, I mean, what did you think of the story in general? That's what I mean, like.
The story, well, it's awful. It's terrible. I mean, I first time I watched it, I have exactly the same reaction to watching it just now. It's a fucking train wreck, and I can't believe that it was the finale of a series, and also the beginning of the 6th Doctor's era. It just baffles me how bad it is, and it's a shame that things go from bad to worse. Very quickly, in fact, as I understand. So,
I mean,
not good.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because what they did with this story was they put it at the very end of season 21, or it was season 21. They put it at the very end of season 21 after Case of Androzani, and the only other time they had the same Doctor in the same season was with Hartnell. Which I thought that was, even then, looking back at it now, that seems odd. They had the first 2 stories of season 4 had Hartnell, and then the rest had Triton. But putting it at the end here after the third Doctor and the fourth Doctor having every story being the next season. It just doesn't work. I mean, I think, you know, it's
various reasons as to why this happens. It being the actors maybe wanted to leave, or maybe the contracts expired, or I mean, you know, who knows? Maybe Davison was contracted for another series, but then decided he wanted to leave. So,
well, Triton said to him during the Five Doctors that you should leave after 3 years. Like he said, you know, it's best to do just 3 years and leave it at that.
yeah,
I think Davison, the time he left, was right, because you had 7 years of Tom Baker, and like having maybe another 4 or 5 years of another Doctor wouldn't have worked. I think 3 years was good enough. But for Colin Baker, I mean, I think putting the story at the end of the season, I can see what they're trying to do. They're trying to be like, hey, you know, we've got a special treat for you guys. We're going to have the Doctor's first story, you know, just a week later, which is, you know, it's an interesting idea, but I think it would have been better if they started season 22 with the first story. And not only that, but it just, you know, I mean, putting it at the end of the case of Androzani and instead of putting that at the end of the season, it just makes the season weaker, if you know what I mean, like to end it on that, you know.
and also it's disjointed as well.
Yeah, it's disjointed because it's a new Doctor, and I also think that, you know, it's just like, why do we need this? And not only that, but it's like after the story, you're gonna have to wait another year for the Doctor's, you know, first full season anyway. And I suppose a lot of people after watching that were like, I don't want to see his next season. I don't want to see, you know, the new Doctor. I suppose a lot of people are like that. I mean, my mum started watching with Hartnell, and she watched pretty much all of Doctor Who up to Tom Baker. I mean, she wasn't as big as fan as me. I think she'd watch it on and off.
Yeah.
But she watched it all the way up to Colin Baker, and that's where she stopped watching it. And I think a lot of people at this point stop watching it here as well. You know, when it gets to the 80s and the Colin Baker era, and even the Davison, well, I mean, actually, especially the Colin Baker era, because I think with Hartnell, the ratings started out pretty good. Well, it started out really well and got better to Daleks, and you had Dalek Mania, and then you had Troughton's Doctor.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, people, because that was the first time Doctor regenerated, people were used to that, and the ratings went down a bit compared to the first Doctor. But then you come to Pertwee, and the ratings went, you know, they skyrocketed, you know, because it was in colour, and, you know, the stories are really good. And then you come to Tom Baker, and the stories are even better. I mean, at the Tom Baker era, the stories are at the best. You know, they're at the height. You know, the stories you get there are at the height of Doctor Who. And when you get to Tom Baker's second to last season, season 17, because of the last few years were so good, you get to that story, and you know, the viewing figures are really high. They're like 16 million, you know, for City of Death Part 4, or City of Death Part 4, 16.1 million. I mean, and then after that, you know, you get to the Davison era. No, and then after that, with Tom Baker's first season, JNT comes in. He gets rid of all the humor. He changes the title sequence. He changes the Doctor's outfit, which was a bad move. And, you know, he brings in all these changes. He gets rid of all the humor. The scripts are a lot more dull. The stories are a lot more dull. And the viewing figures,
silly.
Yeah, and the viewing figures dropped considerably. They went from 16.1 million, I think, for City of Death Part 4 to as low as 3.1 million at the start of Battlefield. You know,
which is really bad.
Yeah, really bad. Yeah, really bad. You know, you had a viewer drop off of 13 million from Tom Baker's second last season. I mean, and that was 10 years before. I mean, and JNT within the course of even in the course of his first year, he just completely train wrecks the show. I mean, Tom Baker's last story, Legopolis, is an awful way to end him off. And even Tom Baker, a lot of Ward complained about the changes, and they protested against that. And you could tell Tom Baker was sort of fed up by his final series, and he was sick as well, so sort of damaged his performance a bit, even though he's still great as a Doctor. Then you get to Davison, and the viewing figures went up again because he changed the format from Saturday, because it was always once every Saturday up until 1982 when he changed it to make it twice weekly on Mondays and Tuesdays. And he got the viewing figures up. He got the viewing figures up again, which was good. But then you come to the Colin Baker era, and you get this story, and you get all the other stories in the season, and the writing becomes really bad. I mean, even some of the Davison stories, the writing isn't very good. I think when it comes to the 80s, the writing just, you compare it to the 60s and 70s, and there's no real contest. And but especially when you get to the Colin Baker era, you get this story, you get, Time Lash, which is awful.
Would you say that, obviously, because Doctor Who wasn't around in the 90s, the TV movie is the only one we got.
Yeah.
Would you say the writing picked up then, or when Russell T Davies came along?
I would say, watching the TV movie, I enjoy the TV movie, but
I mean, it's silly, but it's a bit camp, but I think it's fun.
Yeah, I like the TV movie. There are a lot of things. I mean, I think the writing there is better, but even then, the writing isn't amazing.
I mean, it's okay.
Yeah.
It doesn't damage anything in the show. It's a bit like, I mean, obviously it's very American, and like the Master isn't done particularly well, but it's a bit of fun, and it's the only sort of major story from the Eighth Doctor. I say major story because of his little cameo in the Night of the Doctor, but from his era, really, it's the only thing we have. So
we have Night of the Doctor.
Yeah, I mean, I can't help but kind of appreciate the Eighth Doctor a bit more now.
I mean, he does have the Big Finish audios, which are now canon. They made them canon in Night of the Doctor when he mentions his companions. So we do have those, but at the time they weren't considered as canon. And I think, when it comes to Doctor Who, I think, the 80s, like particularly the Colin Baker, the mid-80s, were starting to get really bad. You have Trial of a Time Lord, because, I mean, it's interesting because his first season, you got Twin Dilemma which I guess you could say is his first season because he's in that, but he's only at the end of that. But anyway, so you get his first full season anyway. You have these stories, and by the end of Revelation of the Daleks, they were planning a season 23, but because of how awful it was and the viewing figures, the BBC decided to cancel season 23 at the end of it. They put it on hiatus for a year and a half. And it goes to show that Doctor Who really was in the dumps then. Michael Grade himself is a dick. I mean, he never liked Doctor Who anyway, but he was right to cancel it because the show was a shadow of its former self by that time.
Yeah, it was going into the realm of self-parody.
Yes, and campiness. And even Verity Lambert said, the reason why it was cancelled was because it was all becoming a bit camp, and they were all a bit full of themselves. I think the writing by that time as well, the writing is just like, oh, look at us, we're so full of ourselves,
We're writing Doctor Who, yay, woo!
Yeah, and not only that, but you've got a lot of celebrity cameos in the 80s as well, which just doesn't make sense. Like, you have Ken Dodd in Delta and the Bannerman, for God's sake,
what the fuck?
And I said this, Ken Dodd, I said this before, when you get comedians in Doctor Who, you're bound to get shit. I mean, apart from John Pertwee, he was a comedian, but what I'm saying is, like, you get comic actors in Doctor Who, it's just silly.
It is, yeah.
I mean, and that first season of Colin Baker's, like, they axed it. Like, at the end of Revelation of Daleks, he says, "I'll take you to." He originally said, I'm going to take you to Blackpool," but because the BBC had cancelled the series, he edited it. So he said, "I'll take you to," and then it goes to the cliffhanger. So I mean, you can tell Doctor Who was in the dumps then. But season 23, there were some good ideas. They had, like, bringing back the Celestial Toymaker, having and they were actually going to make a story which sounded really awesome because they were going to have a story where the Doctor meets the Master and the Rani with the Autons in Singapore. That would have been cool, and they were going to have Bob Holmes write it. But even then, it sounds a bit weird because they were going to call it Yellow Fever and How to Cure It. But all those plans were scrapped, and instead they went for Trial of a Time Lord because it was kind of like at that time that the show was on trial itself, and it's interesting as well because Chris Chibnall, the new producer, he was on an episode of Did You See at the end of Travel Time Lord, and he said it was, it was better, but it was still pretty bad.
Yeah.
And John Nathan Turner, I think himself, just didn't give a fuck. I mean, I saw this hangout with Ian Levine. I saw this hangout with Ian Levine last night where he was talking about Doctor Who missing episodes, and he was saying that because he was continuity advisor, but Ian Levine was basically saying that John Nathan Turner was a dick and he shouted at everybody and he was a really nasty person. And there are a whole lot of stories about him, and I just think he ran Doctor into the ground. I mean, he stayed there for too long. He was there from 1980 to 89. He was the longest producer. I mean, most producers are only there for 2 or 3 years. He was there for 10 years. I mean, he wanted to leave towards the end of towards the start of Sylvester McCoy, but even then it was too late. And I think his attitude was, let's camp it up, let's make it silly. I mean, he did. I mean, the one thing I will say, he did sell it overseas to America, like Moffat did.
Yeah.
He did do that, which was good. But I just think his attitude towards the show, I mean, was just to camp it up and make it silly. But I mean, the one thing I do respect about him is he respected the fans, unlike Moffat. He tried to keep continuity. He made the 5 Doctors, and there were plans to make the 7 Doctors. So at least he respected the fans and the continuity in that sense. But his other decisions, like casting Colin Baker because of a garden party, and he cast McCoy because he was a children's entertainer, he just made a lot of bad decisions. And I think at the end of Travel Time Lord, he made an ending. It was Bob Home's last story, and they changed the ending, and Eric Sayward left because he was fed up with JNT, and I think by the time of McCoy, Doctor Who really was in dips because they had to prove to the BBC that Doctor Who still had life in it, and and McCoy's first season is just terrible. I have to say, it really is. It's really bad, and Tanya Rani is probably even worse than this, I would say. I'm not saying a lot because this is a abysmal episode, and that's a terrible story, and McCoy is actually worse in that than Colin Baker is.
For what it's worth, you could say, despite obviously Davison's mixed era, there was never a point when anybody would have said, right, this show needs to end. I mean, there may have been a few bad episodes, but they thought, well, at least they're still trying to make it good after the first 4 Doctors, But when it got to this, like you say, this was the beginning of the end. This was the moment when people just went, "What the fuck?" And that was it. This is what skyrocketed Doctor Who into being axed. A few years down the line. I'm surprised that they didn't axe the show after this story. But I mean, to be fair, I have to give credit where it's due. I mean, I suppose if he didn't sell it to overseas to America, we wouldn't have got the TV movie. So that was nice. I mean, and then if Russell T Davies hadn't have got the permission to reboot Doctor Who, well, sort of reboot Doctor Who, then we wouldn't still have it now, even though it's not really in the best place at the moment. But I mean, Doctor Who will always have its fan base. But again, they have to base it on viewing figures and how well. I mean, because of Series 9 with Peter Capaldi, as good as Capaldi is, nobody is watching. Not many people are watching. Yeah. Because they're like, oh, I don't like the new guy. Well, there's a reason for that. Yeah, because he's not David Tennant or Matt Smith. He's not a young, pretty boy. They're not. The people nowadays don't seem to resonate with the older Doctor. They don't care about somebody who's young, who's good looking, who's fit, who's like sort of devilishly charming. Capaldi can be all of those. Obviously, he's not so young anymore, but Capaldi, he's done really well. And he's got one more series. Well, at least one more series.
I mean, he's going to be in Series 10, and apparently he wants to do Series 11, and I'm glad for it. But I mean, going back to Colin Baker era briefly. I mean, I think, at the end of the season, because Twin Dilemma was so bad and the season itself was so bad, Michael Gray decided to put it on hiatus. Like, he axed Doctor Who, and then he decided to put it on hiatus for a year and a half, which, you know, made sense because, you know, the script writing that got so awful. It really just looked like by this point they didn't care anymore. They you know, I mean, there just seemed to be no quality control when it came to this era. When it did come back, the BBC cut it even more. I mean, you know, the BBC, you know, up to this, I don't think, you know, I don't think they didn't really cut the budget. It was only really after this season that they started to cut the budget. And, you know, it's interesting because Colin Baker's first season is the first series where you had two-part 45-minute episodes which they would use in the new series. And that, to be honest, didn't work for the classic series, but the new series it worked. And I think when Colin Baker's second season happened, I mean, 45 minutes for classic Who doesn't work. You know, watching those stories of Three Doctors and Twin Dilemma. I mean, Three Doctors is 3 45-minute episodes, which would, if it was like 25 minutes, would be like a 6-parter. So, I mean, I think, you know, changing the format as well, you know, JNT changed the format a lot, you know, and that just didn't work, you know.
Sorry, I just got to answer the door very quickly. Carry on.
Okay. And it just didn't work. And, you know, everything he did after that was sort of shaped by this crud. And, you know, I feel sorry, though, because, you know, I don't blame everything on Colin Baker. You know, I mean, it is sort of unfair to blame him for everything, but his Doctor just isn't good. His attitude, I think, towards the show, I'm going to be the longest Doctor. He's very egotistical about that, wanting to be the longest Doctor and making the Doctor's character more of a dick. It just, I don't know, it doesn't work in that regard. And I just think it goes to show that the Doctor Who was really in the dumps by that time, and it's a shame because if Doctor Who had a different producer and JNT wasn't a producer, I think maybe Doctor Who could have gone on into the 90s, and you know, possibly even the early 2000s. But yeah, as I was saying, like, I think the reason why it failed was because, you know, JNT, he changed it so dramatically during Tom Baker's first season. He got rid of the original theme tune. I mean, changing the title sequence wasn't bad, but getting rid of the original theme tune, you know, I actually really like the updated theme, so that doesn't annoy me that much. But I think JNT he changed the show too much for the average viewer, and that's why it died out. Like, you know, he changed everything when he became producer. He changed the format. He made it 45-minute episodes for Colin Baker's first story. He changed it from Saturday nights, which it always was for, for nearly 20 years. He changed the format to Mondays and Tuesdays, which worked for the viewing figures, but it just doesn't. It's not where Doctor Who belongs. And the script was out of control. It became campy. And you could tell the BBC and the public just didn't care by that time, and you can see that with Colin Baker's second season, they had the same amount of episodes as the last season, but they were only 25 minutes each. They were only 13 25-minute episodes, so you could tell they cut down the running of the season. Like, they only had 13 episodes, and they only had 4 stories. I mean, before that you had 5 or 6 stories a season. You had 7 stories in Tom Baker's, and then you had 7 with Peter Davison, and you had 6 or 7 with Peter Davison. And then after that, they cut it down to 4 stories for Colin Baker's second season. Then they made that a whole season-long story arc. And they were I think they're sort of commenting on the fact that the show was on trial. So they called it Trial Time Lord, and you had the Doctor on trial by his own people. And the Doctor already went on trial in the War Games. So doing that again just felt like a bit stale. And I think making the whole making the whole season a story. You know, it was another, you know, attempt at trying to get more viewing figures and trying to change Doctor Who. And they tried to, I mean, I think they took aboard on some criticism from season 22, but by season 23, even that is pretty terrible as well. Like you've Terror the Vervoids, and you have these sort of like vagina-looking salad monsters in that episode. You have, I mean, what's funny is though, Honor Blackman guest stars in that, makes a cameo appearance in that guest starring role. And yeah, I mean, that's another problem. I mean, they pointed it out in the Doctor Who documentary for Newsnight that in the 80s they just brought all these celebrities in to do episodes. Like
it was just viewing figures, like you say. It's all to you know, bring in more, you know, viewers. You know, like all this celebrities cameoing in Doctor Who. I mean,
yeah,
you know, it might not bring many people in, but it might avert some people's eyes. I see why they did it, but I think for Doctor Who it doesn't really work because it takes you out of the whole idea.
Yeah.
Because Doctor Who is something that takes you to another world.
Yeah.
The world comes to you. So having familiar faces, unless they're important characters in the story, doesn't make sense. So just for the sake of you know, celebrity fan service, doesn't work. Yeah. Like you say. And I mean they do nowadays. They tend to they have celebrities as supporting characters, which works.
Yeah.
Not
only that, but like
yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean. You have celebrities as supporting characters. I mean, they did the same as well in the 80s, but they just had too many celebrities. Like they had Honor Blackman, Richard Bryars in Paradise Towers, Ken
by the way,
Dodd.
did you hear that Whoopi Goldberg wants to guest star in Doctor Who?
Yeah, I mean, please no.
Well, I think Whoopi Goldberg's, you know, fine, but as long as she doesn't want to be the Doctor, then I think that's all right.
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't mind Whoopi Goldberg being in Doctor Who, but just as long as like she's in the center of everything. I mean, I think that was one of the reasons it killed it off as well, because too many celebrity guest cameos. The fact that I think it was just like he focused it too much more on. I think he focused it more on like viewing figures that and trying to sell it overseas and he was just basically trying to leave his mark on the show, but it didn't work. You know, he tried to leave his mark on the show, and it just wasn't the right thing to do. And you know, I thought Moffat was the same until he resigned recently. I thought he was going to try and outdo JNT's run because he's been there. He'll be there 7 years this year. But I mean, I think I mean, it went on hiatus. It came back, and you had Travel Time Lord. You know, they brought it back 13 episodes, but they weren't 45 minutes, 25, and you only had 4 stories instead of 6. And it suffered. And then you had McCoy's first season because I mean they basically dropped Colin because they knew he wasn't working, he wasn't sitting well with the public, and they dropped his Doctor. And you know, I suppose, you know, for people who are fans of the 6th Doctor, and you know, I feel a bit sorry for Colin Baker because you know it wasn't all his fault. You know, the BBC. You know, it wasn't all his fault because the stories and the scripts were bad. But I think, you know, firing him in some ways was the right thing to do because I think he was miscast, you know. And I mean, and even his attitude towards the show, like I saw an interview of him from the 1980s, like 1984 or 5, and he said he wanted to be the longest running Doctor and he wanted his Doctor to be like a dick at the start, but he mellows out over time, like over 7 or 8 years. And I just don't think that would have worked with the public. I think, you know, his Doctor being a dick, you know, and I just think it wouldn't have worked. And I think dropping him was the right move. And, you know, and then casting Sylvester McCoy, a lot of people said was the wrong move. And in a way,
either way, they didn't really have much of a choice. They were in a bit of a shambles. I don't think anybody would have wanted to actually do Doctor Who after Colin Baker's run.
I mean, there weren't many who did actually. I mean, at that time, Doctor Who was sort of seen as a bit of an embarrassment by the BBC. They were embarrassed of it by that time, I think, because it had been on so long, and now it sort of became a parody. I mean, during the late 70s, you know, the BBC, I think, were very proud of Doctor Who, but by the time the 80s, they were just like, oh, this looks a bit crap. And I think, you know, with Sylvester McCoy casting him, a lot of people would say that was another miscast, and they were probably right because he was sort of a children's entertainer. But I think McCoy, for me anyway, he overcame those barriers. Like in his first story, he was awful, but his doctor,
I think he fell in love with it and he made it his own.
Yeah,
and
I think it worked.
But
I think,
I think with all the actors who've played the Doctor, not talking about John Hurt, the official ones, it's really, you know, there's a fine line. The crucial thing is that you make him feel like an alien.
Yeah.
The crucial things to convey is that he's an alien. He's an old man, so you have to convey the sense of age. You have to make him funny, clever, charming, but you have to, you know, there's a barrier. You know, you can't do it theatrically. There's almost a sense of insecurity about the Doctor.
But not only that, but you can't make the Doctor. You still have to make him feel like the Doctor. The Sixth Doctor doesn't feel like the Doctor. Like, I mean, he's constantly bragging. He's constantly being nasty to his companions. You know, he strangles Perry. You know, I think that's the reason why his Doctor just doesn't work for me and for a lot of people, because, you know,
he strangles Perry.
Yeah, but not only that, but he's such an arrogant dick, and he doesn't feel like the Doctor. I mean, Hartnell was different, like I said, because he started the role and he didn't trust humans at the start. But the Sixth Doctor, it's like a huge backward step. The character had matured.
Yeah, I mean, like all of the, even the newer ones have tried to make it their own as well. Like, you know, Christopher Eccleston, who's rather underrated, he made it his own. He's much more of a tougher sort of, well, not tough, sort of rough and damaged Doctor, and I like that about him. I mean, I don't care that he's northern. That doesn't bother me.
Yeah,
he did something really interesting with the role, and it works in terms of the continuity. David Tennant made it his own. He managed to do, for me anyway, he managed to do a bit of everything, bit of the dark, bit of light, bit of charm, bit of humor, a bit of human as well. He was one of the Doctors who could sort of play the alien and the human, obviously because the nature of one of his stories was that he turned human. And then Matt Smith, I could see what he tried to do, but it didn't work for everybody. I think maybe he was a bit too young at the time, but I think he approached it in completely the right way. It was just the stories that let him down. Unlike Colin Baker, he doesn't have an ego. He's actually a really nice guy and down to earth.
Yeah, and not only that, but Colin Baker, just in real life, like he doesn't really like Tom Baker, from what I've heard. You know, he's sort of like, you know, he's sort of annoyed that Tom Baker has been praised so much, and just his attitude towards the show. I mean, I remember seeing on the Celebrity, what was it? Celebrity Come Dine With Me. And like someone was like put on a Cyberman helmet, and he's like, "Oh please!" Like he sort of seemed embarrassed of doing Doctor Who. You know, one minute he says he loves it, next minute, you know, it looks like he doesn't care. I mean, I think he tried to make it his own, but it just didn't work. It didn't. He didn't. You know, I think, you know, he was the first Doctor who sort of failed in the role. I mean, Tom Baker said, he says, "I don't think any of the Doctors can fail in the role," but I think for me and a lot of the public, and he was sort of the first Doctor that, you know, there wasn't the Doctor. He failed in the role, and consequently he was fired. And, you know, I know there were Sixth Doctor fans out there who probably maybe hate me because I don't like the Sixth Doctor.
No, I mean, everybody has their opinion. I mean, for me personally, I don't hate any of the Doctors. I think Colin Baker's probably the weakest, but I mean, I could see. I mean, the positive thing I'll say is that at least he tried to be original with the role. I mean, at least he tried to anyway. I mean, for me, it doesn't really work. Also, the stories let him down, which isn't his fault. But to me, it was just a bit too camp and over the top for the Doctor.
For me though, I think the reason why I mean, some people say they love every Doctor's great, but he's the only Doctor I do hate, because his Doctor's just so out of character and so egotistical and so nasty and so mean. And I think Colin Baker's attitude towards the show was a bit shit as well. Like, I'm going to be the longest serving. Like, he's like, I'm going to be the longest serving Doctor, and you know. I mean,
McCoy was all right, but again, the stories let him down. It was a shame he came in at the wrong time which wasn't his fault, but you know, it's a shame really that happened. But I mean, he tried to approach it openly. I just don't think many people seem to care about him. Also, because the stories were getting worse, so he's probably not one of the most popular ones, which is a shame. And Paul McGann, who was only there for one movie, so he couldn't really make much of an impact. What's your opinion on Paul McGann as the Doctor?
I think his Doctor was I liked his Doctor, but I think by the time Paul McGann, I think the writing had got bad. I mean, I think with McCoy, his first season was awful, and his first story, he was awful in it, but his character got better. And I think as the show came towards an end, the writing did get better. And I think his last season is pretty, there's not really a bad story in that for me. And even though there only are 4 stories, but I think, him as the Doctor, he got a lot better. He became darker. He became more mysterious. He became like the first Doctor.
What, Paul McGann?
No, Sylvester McCoy.
McCoy.
Yeah, I think his Doctor became darker, became more like the Doctor, and he became more like the first Doctor. Like Andrew Cartmel came in.
Jack's gone very briefly.
Yeah, but I have to go now.
Let's wrap this up. So thank you guys all for listening to this commentary. It's been great fun, and it's been a great discussion as well about the Doctors. We'll hope to do some more of these at some point. Thank you for joining me, Jack, and thank you for watching. I'm MrTardis11. This is The Watcher, and see ya.